Yeah, I like that. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is dope. It is dope. Hello, 4 gaming community, and hello, Beyblade community as a whole. We're here today. I believe this is our fifth podcast, fourth or fifth podcast. Very special guest. We always have nice special guests. Michael Nightwing, the famous BeyTuber, as I like to refer to him as. Yeah. You have me and my man Crisis Crusher. Michael Nightwing is here. Gonna discuss some Beyblade topics. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm good,
Night.
man.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with my kid's bunny.
Oh, your kid's bunny?
Yeah, so my oldest for his third birthday, his mom and I got him a bunny, and
Oh,
I decided to dip out into their room so I could just watch him eat and graze while we chit
nice.
chat.
Nice. I want to say both of y'all names are Mike. I usually call Crisis Crusher Mike. I may slip up and just say Mike. I'm gonna try to I try to call Michael Nightwing or Nightwing. But if it's confusing, I'll try to
I,
clarify.
I just go by Nightwing. Nightwing is my legal name, so that's fine.
Nightwing. Yeah, I'll stick to Nightwing. Um, so we'll kick it off. You want to, I guess, well, introduce yourself first if you want.
Oh wow! Let's see introductions. So hello, everyone.
Yeah.
My name is Michael Nightwing. I am a 32-year-old father of two, husband. And I like to Beyblade in my spare time. Been a Beyblader, I guess I started when I was like 11, and I got back into it when I got older. And I'm here now, just filling up my spare time with spinning tops and awesome and fun adventures. I have a video I'm working on now where I'm planning on painting a masterpiece with Beyblades with my kids. Very reminiscent
That's
of, if
dope.
you all remember, season one of the Blade Breakers went against the All Stars. And one of the guys, like in the training room, he was a painter, and his Beyblade like painted the stadium and stuff.
I
So I
remember
was like, let me
that.
see if I can like recreate this with some stuff, and then see if I can sell it as an NFT. Who knows? So
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's gonna be
yeah.
the fun part.
That sounds pretty dope. I don't remember too much of the original season. Like I've seen it, but it was
Blasphemy, blasphemy, blasphemy.
yeah. I'm bigger into like what I watched now is just like a lot of the metal fight. I rewatched the original season, but I haven't been back to it like since.
Look
Mike
at you just
Crisis
hanging
is
out on like the mid level of a building, never even checking out the basement. Wow, man.
well.
Wow,
I've
wow.
seen I've seen the basement. I just don't visit back down there anymore.
Like
It's a far journey.
this is an unfinished basement. I don't like this place.
Yeah, I like the middle part. I like where that's at. I just stick there and then I don't venture out. But yeah, so hop into the questions. Like our first question, we're already discussing the Beyblade. You said you've been blading since you were 11. So what got you into Beyblade, or what was your story? How you
Dude,
got into it?
I honestly can't tell you how I got into it. I just know in like because Beyblade came out in like 2000, I think, in Japan, and then in 2001 it was here in the States. And around that time, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh in like 2000, I believe it was, and I just randomly, I guess I was at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament or something, and it had Beyblade. I don't know how I even got one. I don't know where it came from. I just had one, and then I
Mhm.
had several, and I would go to tournaments. I used to go to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments every weekend. So when I would go to them, there was always like a toy shop. There was like KB Toys, or
Oh,
my dad
KB
would take
Toys,
me
yeah.
to take me to Toys R Us or KB Toys, or there was like a one of the malls out here that was always like this like comic book store or like a Japanese game store. And
Mhm.
again, at this time, I'm like 10, 11, 12. Like, so I don't remember too much of where it was and everything, but I used to go to these tournaments all the time. Franconia Springfield Mall was one of them. I know that. Boston Common Mall. These are like places in the city or around DC area. But like I don't remember the name of the stores or anything besides KB Toys. But I used to go in there, I used to get like Japanese Beyblades. Right? They were like maybe like $8, $10, something like that at the time. And I would
Mhm.
just had a whole collection of these things. I used to play with kids in my neighborhood. And the funniest thing about that was so the original Beyblade team was called the Blade Breakers. So I remember a buddy of mine, Robert, we were playing Beyblade like in the neighborhood, like where his house was, probably like 6 or 7 blocks from mine. And we would play, in his like backyard or like the garage and stuff like that, at the school across the street in the playground. And one time we were just walking like to his house and we could hear like that very distinct like over and he was like, we asked, could we battle him? He said, oh, I gotta go to work, but back tomorrow and we'll battle. So we went on back the next day. Because his house, we destroyed them, right? Like we bodied these guys.
Yeah.
And now I was using that's technically one of my combos was an illegal combo, but at this point there's really no like tournaments that we knew
Yeah.
of. Again, we're
Yeah.
like kids.
Yeah.
So I used to do like a double weight disc on like the changing driver, which is like the Zeta driver now, the one from Dronzer.
Mhm.
Um,
You
and
use
I
like
use
the
like
Galvin or the Gasly top.
yep. I use Galvin because I had that free spinning ring, so you had a little more space to work with. And I would use that and we just destroyed them. So it was funny because they were like, if you guys want to join, our team, they were called like the Blade Crushers or whatever. You got to like beat all of us. So then we beat them all. Then they were like, well, now you got to beat us in our respective sports. I'm like, dude, I don't play basketball. I was like, I don't play football. What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
then they were like really upset because we beat them. So then they were like, you guys got to leave. We're going to beat you up. So we were like, all right, we're out of here. We just left.
It was that was
They were
just like
so,
the anime. It seemed like, yeah.
dude, they were so upset, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to just Beyblade all the time. Like just we were trying to break stuff with the Beyblades. Like in the alley would be like old tube TVs, and we are trying to like see if we can break them. We never broke the TVs, but we never broke our Beyblades either.
That's dope.
And we would just battle. And I used to go to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and battle in front of KB Toys and stuff after the term was over. And then I used to take them to school with me and stuff. So I honestly don't know where I got my first one from. I'm sure it involved my father taking me to the store and be like, I want it. But yeah, just probably watching the cartoon. I just ended up with one. And then I stopped playing when I got to like middle school, high school, something like that. And yeah, then once that was done, I like went to college and I had my mom send up my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I'd given my Beyblades to my friend's little brother. So all my Beyblades are essentially just ended up lost in the wind, except for the one that I found that was in my mom's house. Because I remember I lost it when I was battling. It fell into my vent and I couldn't reach it. My arms were too short and I just couldn't grab it with like a coat hanger or anything. So it was just there for decades until maybe like 3 years ago. I went back as an adult with my cell phone and a flashlight and longer arms. And I was able to fish it out. I fished out this Beyblade. I was like, Mom, I'm here to get my toy. And I fished it out the vent. And I have it. It's in my studio now.
Which one was it?
It was that double layered Galleon one. I keep forgetting to do a video about like this is my first Beyblade. Like I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I need to do a video like this is like my legit like first competitive quote unquote Beyblade. But yeah, so I just blazed. Then when I got older, just kind of fell out the window. I heard about like the WBO when I was in college, but at that point I was like preoccupied with other stuff. And then as an adult, I remember just going to Target and be like, these new Beyblades look stupid. They just break instantaneously. This is lame. And then after like ragging on them enough, I was like, well, let me just get one to see. And then, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. I know.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a pretty dope origin story. It's crazy. Like looking back at it now, I think every interview that we have or everyone that's played that we talk to we had our origin in Yu-Gi-Oh, like around that era. Because I mean, during that time, I mean, those were it was Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and then Beyblade, and it all came out like we were around 10 or 12 years old, and it just kind of like stuck. And Yu-Gi-Oh, like I'll say this repeatedly, the thing that I would probably be playing Yu-Gi-Oh just because I love the competition, but Yu-Gi-Oh is expensive and it takes much, much, much more time to be seriously competitive with it. Mike could probably even talk better about that. He just stopped. But
I used to be like I was heavy into Yu-Gi-Oh, so I was heavy into Pokemon, and like you were saying, Pokemon all around the same generation, same time frame. So I stopped playing Pokemon cards. Like I stopped collecting Pokemon cards. Like once I learned how to actually play the game, then it kind of like just phased out as like, oh, okay, this is no longer as interesting, and I started getting into Yu-Gi-Oh. Because I never knew you could actually like play it. When I was in elementary school, you didn't play the game, you just collected the cards. And then like I learned how to play, and I was like, oh, this is great, this is fun. But then nobody wanted to play anymore. But yeah, I used to go to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments like super heavy. Like my highlight Yu-Gi-Oh career is like I played like 30 something, and I think
Mhm.
like 34 or something, like a regional down in like the Carolinas, and that was like the height of my Yu-Gi-Oh career. And yeah, but like it was just such a fun game. But now I look at it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm playing this game. Like, there's no way I'm
No.
going to sit here and play somebody and lose in one turn. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be my life. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. I seen and Mike, feel free to correct me or jump in because I know like you're the Yu-Gi-Oh guru. But I remember I watched one. I think I was watching Worlds. Because yeah, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm actually watching the original season with my kids again now. But I'll
Yes,
see
bring them
those.
up right.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see like when they play and their turn, like it's just so long, you know. Like like they'll have their hand, they'll play a couple cards, shuffle their deck like 15 times it seems like because of the cards effects. Have like have all their monsters out, which I didn't even know it was possible. But I guess with all the effects and stuff that you can do, and yeah, and then by the time it's like it's their turn again, like they've already won, and it's extremely more
Yeah,
complex than it was. Yeah.
so like Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays consists of mostly like combo strategies
Hmm.
where decks. Old Yu-Gi-Oh was played with you mishmashed a bunch of different random things together and that just worked well to create a deck.
Hmm.
Now it's all based on archetypes. So like everything has the same name. Like my favorite deck that I like to play is Fire Fist. So every single monster and most of the cards have like Fire Fist or Fire Formation in their name,
Yeah.
and they can all search each other or they all utilize each other in a different way. So like what happens is basically you can start out with like two cards that are like two Fire Fist cards, and those two cards alone snowball into you going through your entire deck and summoning like every single monster.
No,
Uh,
sir. No,
like,
sir. Yeah,
Oh.
that's where I started getting out the game because it was like right around the time where it was like right during like XYZ, the monsters came out, the Union summons, and those were cool, but they weren't as like useful. And then like they started getting to the Grave Robber series and everything. It was like the Marauding Captains and stuff like that.
the,
And that's when I just like that was around the time when it was just like slowly phasing out because it was
arc
like,
arc
yeah, no.
the whole archetype thing kind of started to pick up in the GX era of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like not too much from original Yu-Gi-Oh is really archetype based. Like there'll be like an archetype that consists of like five cards, but those five cards don't really work well together. They just have the same name and have little effects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When
like
you get
Don
when you
Zalug. Yeah.
Right. When you start getting into GX though, that's when you start getting all cards that start working with each other. But then it really took off once you got into the synchro era, which was 5Ds. That's when it really started taking off and Yu-Gi-Oh completely changed. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
once synchro started, Yu-Gi-Oh completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like I have a couple synchro cards. I was like, yeah, this is I just have to have two cards on with like the levels, and I can just summon this big monster. Like, whoa, wow! I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, this okay, all right, I'm
I
done with this.
I bought my kids the game on the Switch, and you know, like me, like I always like to show them things from my childhood, and I'm like, because I got them some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I got them like the old school ones, you know, off of Amazon or whatever, the ones I used to play with. And I was playing with them and showing them, and I was like, because they try to battle me, I'm like, no, you can't do this and that. It's like you're not gonna beat your dad. And then when I got them the game on the Switch, and I was like, yeah, this is how you play, and this and that. I was like, you know, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. And then I come in like probably like a week later, and I'm still with the old rules and the old school way of playing. And I'm like, you can't. I was like, that's a monster card. Like you can't play it like that. You can't summon it like that. But he was doing, I guess, the synchro stuff or what you were just talking about, Mike, where it's like
Uh-huh.
you could run through your deck and then you could have all these monsters and stuff out like that. And it's like some of them are monsters and they're also trap cards
Yep.
at some point. And I'm like, oh man, I was like, I don't know anymore. All right, y'all just have fun. Y'all play this and leave,
Yeah,
leave me alone. Yeah.
it's all because like original Yu-Gi-Oh and GX you had what was called the fusion deck, which was
Hmm.
where you capture fusion monsters. And
Yep.
then once synchros came out, it was no longer the fusion deck; it became the extra deck. So
Mm,
then ever since then like, you know how Yu-Gi-Oh used to have, you had your main deck and you draw your big boss monster like Blue Eyes White Dragon and you'd summon
Yeah.
it and
Yep.
stuff like that. Yu-Gi-Oh changed so much to where in the main deck you generally don't run monsters that are higher than level 4. Like, there are very few decks that will run monsters that are higher than level 4. Everything's about low level, low attack monsters that work together to make the big attack, big level monsters out of your extra deck.
See,
That's
that's what.
why that's
Yeah.
why they're all the way they are now.
That sounds
That's
fantastic. If you just drop, I forgot that trap card, but it like bans all like low levels or something. You just be like, nope, none of those. Done, done. Pull out Jinzo. Game's over. Jinzo's out. Like Jinzo was a god, and then like they made it to a common monster. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just, ugh. Ah,
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yugi was. I think it will always like hail as king, well, king of games or whatever. I know like Magic the Gathering, but I didn't play that. It was like the '80s, like my uncles and stuff, like era, and I think like I know kids and stuff play it now, but I feel like that's a whole nother genre. I was more for the Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon type scene.
So
But back to
if Yugi's the king of games, does that mean he's the best Beyblader in the world?
I don't know.
Well, actually,
And
yes. The answer is
Yugi
yes.
probably wouldn't be, but I wouldn't doubt if Yami was nice with it. You
No,
know?
no. The answer is yes, though. So if you'll remember, though, when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, it wasn't originally written as
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. It was
Yeah.
like I forgot the name of the show or the name in
Right.
the Shonen Jump.
Season 0.
Yeah, but he was just like
I'm
he
gonna light
literally
you on
was the king
fire.
of games. He just played games at his school or whatever, and he always won. So
Yeah.
the writer every week came up with a new game, and that's what he played. And then Duel Monsters was a game of 1 week, and everybody loved it. And they were like, "We need to play this." So then that's what spiraled it over to Yu-Gi-Oh. So in theory, yes, he would be like the best because he was the best at Dungeon Dice Monsters. Immediately after playing it. So
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. You dropped some knowledge on me though, right there. I didn't know about the as far as the manga went about him being like the king of games, but I could see it. It's dope. It's what we all do, and it's what we all play now. Um, I always ask you this, Crisis. I should talk to you beforehand with this about back and forth with questions. I'm gonna ask my next question, and then I'm gonna let you jump in.
That's fine.
All right. The next
you
question,
guys
because I
want
know,
to with a
huh?
tag team like Red and Meth. I love it. I love it.
uh, so my next question was, so I know you were talking about your first Beyblade and competitive Beyblading, and you have your channel, and you have Bladers Kingdom. Shout out to Bladers Kingdom.
Thank you, thank you,
Uh,
thank you. Woo, woo.
we talk about that a lot on this show, and
Oh,
I didn't mention that when we did your introduction, but Michael Nightwing is the creator of Bladers Kingdom, as you could tell from our extensive knowledge and compliments towards Yu-Gi-Oh. Bladers Kingdom complements that within the
big
Beyblade
time,
world. Yeah.
big time.
So
I got the
what?
whole inspiration from it.
So my question is, what are your views on competitive blading and the balance on having fun? And I guess with that is because competitive blading gets intense, or it can get intense. As far as what people regarding just the rank and wanting to win all the time, and then at the same time, it's like you said, like you want to have fun and you want to enjoy it also, or for newer kids that are getting into it. So, what are your views with competitive blading? I guess like the hardcore competitive blading and having fun and just the balance with that.
Honestly, I think competitive blading is it's nice, but I think people lose track of like the actual enjoyment of things, and that's my biggest thing. Like I've done sports since I was like a kid,
Hmm.
like martial arts. So you go to like taekwondo tournaments, like you know, like you don't want to lose because you get punched in the face, but like if you
Yeah,
lose, you
yeah,
lose. You win, you win. Rugby since I was like 16. You want to go to win, like you're traveling to win, but if you lose, you lose. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It is what it is. Like I played tennis since I was probably like 18, and I think I've never won an actual. Well, I've won. No, I've actually never won a tennis match. Like, and I played. I started playing when I was 18, which usually is like super young and to get into tennis.
Hmm.
But like I played against like teachers at my high school. I played when I was in college. I was on like the tennis team for a bit until my grades slipped because I wasn't that really that good of a student to start out with.
Yeah.
I got better though. Oof, I graduated as a better student I went in with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
but yeah, like I played tennis. And I played tennis like when I got into like the adult world against like coworkers and stuff. And like I've never won a tennis match, like never. But I've always had fun playing. It's to me, it's like I know for a fact I didn't put in enough time and effort to get good at tennis to that level.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm not going here thinking I'm going to like destroy everybody. I know what I'm good at. I'm usually pretty swift, so I don't get tired like that easily. And then, I can just keep it up. And we're playing for like 3-4 hours. And like it's not an easy game for my opponent, and that's always the fun part. If you watch any of my Beyblade videos now, it's like if I lose, I lose. That's it.
Yeah.
Like the most heart and devastating loss I've ever faced was against Crisis Crusher like a couple weeks ago when he just destroyed my whole deck in the
Mm.
in the finals, and I was like, oh, and that was
He
like the
went
most.
five.
That was
Did he
like,
go 5-0?
yeah, 5-0, crushed me. I have that
Damn.
video on my
With one
computer. I just have
Beyblade.
yet to finish like editing it because
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure like I wasn't salty. It was like it's sitting on my other computer. And I'm like, I just want to make sure I'm not salty because he did a great job. And then I
Yeah.
just kind of like because I have like a desktop and a laptop, so I edit fast on my laptop because I can do that anywhere in the house. But like the desktop, I have to be in the office.
Hmm.
And kids don't allow you like office time like that. But it's like
Yeah.
sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm gonna finish this video eventually. So it's gonna be done like probably like later on next month, probably. I'm like, all right, I finally upload this video. It's my most devastating loss. But like even that, like I'm not crying about it. Before then it was a loss to Allen up in or down in Virginia for my third place finish, and I was like,
Hmm.
I should have definitely gone with the right spin. But it's like it is what it is. Like it's a game. It's just meant to have fun. Um, and I think competition gets like I guess enjoyment gets lost when you focus too much on like competing. Because when you get to that point, you no longer just have fun in the game. Like it's a game. You know what I mean? Like it's a game. Like I remember I heard this one guy say, everything's a game unless it's like combat sports. Like only sport is like combat sports. Everything else is like a game. It's like
Yeah.
basketball is just a game. Like football is a game. Beyblade's a game. These are just games. You should be having fun. You should be enjoying yourself. It's not like a live or die kind of thing. Like fighting is kind of like live or die if you think about it. But you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. Yeah. They can
because
go
you
left
make a
real
mistake
quick.
in a fight, you might not, make it to the next one.
Yeah.
But like everything else is just a game. And I think what happens with a lot of folks, and I get it, you want to be the best, you want to be competitive, and you kind of start focusing too much on like, oh no, I'm losing, versus like, I'm just here to have fun and I won. Because
Hmm.
like when I leave a tournament, win or lose, and more often than not, actually all the time it's lose. If you look at my like win record on like WBO, it's like 29 or 28 and 29. I don't care. Like it's cool. Like I had fun. My whole purpose of like doing tournaments and stuff is to have fun with the money I spent on the toys. I'm not just battling against myself, which gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I've always thought this when it comes to competition, like folks that get really like into it gung ho, you're
You know,
obsessed. And
you, you, this is like kind of a side thing, real quick. Like, I don't know why this kind of triggers me so much, but there's so many people that like when they lose, they get this like saltiest. They get so salty about it, and then it's like they want to blame stuff on every other thing other than just like they got unlucky or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
you're
want
just
they
not
want to
good.
or yeah, or they don't want to take the time to sit there and think, well, what did I do wrong?
Hmm.
Like, like Mike, when me and you would practice, how many times would you beat my vanish combo with your roar combo?
Every
A
time. It
lot.
was almost
Right,
fantastic. And then
right,
you figured out how to beat it. And then it was just
right.
like, wow.
I practiced with the same spin. Like that's what I did. I practiced it and I figured out what I was doing wrong as a launch.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what was reflected in the video he's talking about making. I just figured out how to launch differently against him.
That's
Man,
something that I had to see. I had to see for myself too. I feel like I learn every time that I go to a competition or that I compete. I don't feel like I know I do. I learn from when I play up there with y'all. I learn from when I play here and just the various areas that I'm at, I've lost in the finals, and it was probably one of my most, I would say, my most devastating loss. Like if I was to think about it, like I wasn't super bummed out, but I made a mistake. I know I made a big mistake, and it was all in the way that I launched. And I didn't know some things about like what you're talking about, like the launch styles. It's not all just about the combo. It's not. It's about um being able to to have the skill and the delivery for that. And yeah, when you look at yourself, it's like, man, I know what I did. I mean, I won the last tournament that we just had, but I could have lost it because I had freaked out at one point and I launched like too hard and I ended up KOing myself. Um, and those things could happen, but you gotta, like you said, like I could have freaked out right then, lost all my cool, and I could have just ended up losing the match just because of what I was doing wrong. But it is self reflection, and you do have to have fun.
Especially in WBO deck format, like that one moment when points can
Yeah.
change and sway.
Hmm.
Oh, that can be devastating to your entire match there.
That's where it was at, and that's what it was. I think I was like 4-2. It was 4-2 or 4-3, and I was down. He just needed one more point, and thankfully, like I came back and I got it. But had I had gotten too caught up or angry or something like that, it would have been over. But like you said, like it is a balance. I'm not gonna lie. I am very bad when it comes to competition. It is all about competition to me. And I enjoy and I have fun, but I'm like free De La Hoya and he was just like, like just the side eye, he was just when he was talking to Volt and Volt was losing and he looked at him and he was like, "Are you still having fun?" And I'm kind of like that. I like to win, but I also like to learn. If I can come from a competition and know like what I did wrong, I think the worst feeling is to lose and I had no clue why I lost. I think that'd be bad for
Mm,
anyone, because you don't take anything from that. Um, so you don't
yeah.
come back really better. Unless you go back to the lab and you practice, and then you understand like, okay, but if I get beat, it's kind of a compliment because it's like, they're better than me and they're gonna help me to get better. Especially if you come back and you beat them next time. Oh man. Like when you
Yeah,
when you
that's fair. Yeah.
sweep, yeah, when you sweep Mike next time around, when you sweep Crisis, that'd be a great victory because that's it's probably we'll see
So
what
like
Blade is Kingdom.
for me, like it's always like you said, self reflection. Like I'm not getting upset about losing because I know I don't put enough time in to win. Like
Hmm.
we just had the classic and the metal fight tournament. Like
Yeah.
I made those Beyblades like the day before.
That
Like
was fun.
Yeah.
I made all the combos like the day before. Like at, and I was like, okay, cool. And I usually do that with standard as well. Like I may have a couple that I practiced with before, like when I go against TNJ Making Burst and against Crisis Crusher. But like for the most part, it's like, oh, what do I want to try today? Like what do I want to put together? I'll see how this works. And I may spin it for like maybe 20 minutes, before I come back in the house and do other stuff. But it's like I'm not putting the time and energy and honestly the effort into trying to be the best. Because like for me, like being the best isn't the goal, right? And I think about that with a lot of things. Like being the best doesn't make you the wealthiest. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of things. I think of things from a business standpoint. A lot of times,
Hmm.
like I started streaming. So I started streaming Call of Duty videos and stuff like that. And like the only reason I got back into streaming is I used to record and upload videos back when I was in college and be playing Street Fighter. Um, with that, like it's not so much like I want to be the best Call of Duty player. Like I haven't played the game in maybe like a week and a half because we've been potty training my son. So I'm like, okay, no time to play. But it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just I'm not trying to be the best. Like that's not it. I'm just trying to enjoy myself and have fun and then use that to become lucrative or not lucrative, whatever it may be. But I'm having fun when I'm doing it. Like a lot of people think I make money off of Beyblade. I do not. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
no, I don't. Like when it comes to like YouTube AdSense and stuff like that, like I think my
Hmm.
most successful month is usually like December, maybe because new stuff comes out, and I may after that whole month get like $800, maybe. But that's
Hmm.
after uploading maybe like 20, 30 videos that whole month. Like,
Oh man, that's a lot of
and
work.
yeah, it's just a lot of work. Just going out doing like bay hunt videos and stuff like that. And it's not like I'm going like I need to go bay hunting to find the stuff. I'm just like, well, I want to get these toys for myself.
Yeah.
It's like 800, $600 is great, but like it's not an average thing. I think this month maybe like $130. I haven't uploaded any videos. I've been doing stuff, just doing other
Mhm.
stuff. But it's like I don't make money from it, so it's all for fun. But like if I practice and practice to be like the best Beyblader, at the end of it all, like one, my feelings will get hurt if I lose, and
Mhm.
then if I win, it's like okay, well, great. Now what? Now
Yeah.
I'm trying to be like constantly trying to just keep up with this performance. So I got to put more time and energy, effort into it. But if I have to find a way to make it into like monetarily, fun or interesting, that's different. And it's like that balance, I guess, because I don't put the time in to be the best, right? Like the tournament we have tomorrow, testing out the Pro Series Stadium, my Beyblades are going to be the same Beyblades I had in the box with me that I went to last weekend, right? Because I
Mhm.
brought my regular standard ones. And that box is at my warehouse. I left it in there like a couple, like when I got back, and I
Mhm.
haven't touched it since. So it's like I'm not practicing. So if I lose, well, no duh, right? Like, no duh, I lost, And it's like, but for me, the goal is to make like a fun video,
Yeah.
and then with the video, it's not even for it to be like a super successful, like millions of views video. It's because I like editing videos, and I like recording videos, and I like uploading them. Because I originally started the Beyblade YouTube channel so I could watch Beyblade videos when I was at work. Because I used to watch other people's Beyblade videos, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Why does this guy launch so soft? Like, what are you doing? This is a terrible.
Yeah.
Like, this launch is so light." And it wasn't like it was trying to test out like, spin still. It was just like, why are these two Beyblades? Like, why are you launching them so soft? And I'm like, this
Mhm.
isn't going to be. Or I just didn't like somebody's voice. I'm like, I'm not listening to this guy talk. Like, I don't like the voice. And then, or like, I just don't like. Another one's like, I don't like. Why is this video so like overly bright? Like, why is it
Mhm.
so bright? Like, this. What is this? So I was like, well, let me just record my own videos. And that's all I did was just record my videos and post them up on YouTube so I can watch them when I was at work. And then I just kept doing it and just kept doing it. And then I was like, oh, I guess I'll talk since people are starting to subscribe. And I was like, oh, what's up, folks? And then just continue to evolve. Like even now, like I record my YouTube videos on moderately expensive equipment. Like one of the
I've
cameras,
seen your like behind the scenes. You have to me it's
it's
not saying
overkill.
you spend yeah.
Dude, it's
It's
overkill.
highly expensive, but
It's overkill.
you are a BeyTuber. Yeah, because all I have is just I'm not a BeyTuber, and right now this is pretty much all I do because I do not like editing videos. But if you have the passion for it, man, I um commend you for doing that because we need that most definitely because I know I'm not the one to do it. But yeah, you got some nice equipment, man.
Thank you. Like I started with just like my Android and one of my GoPros, and the only reason I have like nice camera equipment is because I have another business and I record
Mhm.
my own commercials for that business, and then I just like nice stuff. So it's
This-
like
It's the
I don't.
skincare, net or goal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. So it's like, dude, like it's overkill for the videos, and it honestly it doesn't pay off. Like one of the cameras I think is $1,500. The other one's 1,000. The other one's 2,500. The array of lenses I have all range from like the low end of 500 to the high end of like $2,000, and I have like 12 lenses, and I barely even go
Mm,
for no reason. The only reason I use three cameras to shoot is so I can say I could use my cameras that I paid for, right? Like
yeah.
that's it. We only use one camera. That's an
Yeah.
overhead camera. But the only reason
Yeah.
I use because then like the spinny thing I just got, like I bought it on Kickstarter, like to start out, so it only cost me 1,300, but it retails for like 1,700. I don't
Hmm.
need that. That's not a necessity, right? Like the light I'm using, I think maybe it's a $300 light, and it's like a dome that's another 150. Like these are all like not needed things, and it's like if you really take a second to think about like how much money I make from Beyblade videos versus how much I spend to make them, it does not add out. Like like I spent
You-
$1,000 on like plastic gym Beyblades, and that video got like maybe like 400 views, if that. Like no
yeah.
one cares. That was for me. And it's like that's the way I
Yeah.
approach like with competition. Like it's for me to have fun. Because if I went into it trying to make my money back, I'm gonna be a fool, be an idiot. Like like you spend all this money on Beyblades and you're not having fun while you're battling, then what was the point? Because you ended up broke, you didn't make any money because you're not going to make money from the tournament for the most part, except for like unless you go to I don't know like something called like the Dark Continent, you make like $500 if you're in first place. But like
You
other than
heard
that, like,
that?
you're not making money. Like you can't transition this like a gift card that you may win to cash. You're just buying more Beyblades to be
Yeah,
back into the same thing. So it's like if you're not making money from it and you're not having fun, then what's the point?
yeah,
Like I'm not making money, but I'm having fun, and that's like the plus side for me. But if I was like I need to be a winner and or I need to make money, I'm just double losing. So like
yeah,
to circle back with the competition, like I love competition. Like competition is what makes things grow. Steel sharpens steel. But like if you go into it with the mindset of like if I don't win, I'm going to be unhappy, then your life is not going to be joyful.
that's
Because like
facts.
how many times you see kids and they're just like, oh, I lost, but I'm having fun, versus the kid that's like, I lost, and it's just like life is over, and this kid just looks sad, like his life's
Yeah,
just ruined. And the other kid's just like, oh, it is what it is. All right, cool.
yeah,
Want to get some pizza? And
So
yeah,
you get some
like,
kids that spiral downwards and they start cheating.
yes, like that. Do they start cheating? Yes, like we've seen it. Like
Yeah.
I tell people like all the time at these tournaments, I'm like, dude, like it's not that big of a deal. Like you lost, it's okay. It's a spin top game. It didn't cost you any money. Like now I can understand being salty if there was like an entry fee of like 20, 30, $40, and you lost. Then I get it. At that point, you invested some more money into it, you lost, and you need to go back and reflect about how you're a loser essentially. But like, dude, if you're not like this is like a free tournament, like why are you so upset?
yeah,
Like with like rankings, like rankings are for me like bragging rights. Like what's the reward for it? Like are there rewards for this thing? Like in college, we would compete in rugby and we would become like the champions of whatever. I don't remember. We didn't get like a physical reward. I didn't get like a trophy. It was just you get this champion thing, and like we
yeah,
tried hard for that, and that was cool. Like I just like playing rugby, so that was the fun part for me. Like I just like playing. We're champions, great. We lost, we'll try again next time. But it's
yeah,
like this isn't like a life. And that's the other thing, I guess, when it comes to competition. Like if this is not what's fun to your lifestyle, like if winning isn't fun to your lifestyle, then it's not that serious. Like if you're
mhm,
like a number one tennis player, you need to win to, pay for everything in your life. That's different. That's a little bit different. But like this is just an advanced hobby. Like, come on, like just it's
yeah,
not don't need to be that serious about it. Like if you take an L, reflect on the L, keep it moving, but don't let it like ruin your sleep. Don't let it ruin your day.
it
You know,
shouldn't. It
that's
shouldn't.
my biggest thing. Like I've competed. I've like been knocked unconscious from like getting kneed in the face during a rugby match. Like
Hmm.
got hit. I don't know how this dude like where he came from, but the dude was huge. He was like 300 pounds, just trugging along. He didn't even see me. He just and I'm just like whoop, flashed out, flashed back in. I'm still in the match with like a concussion. Like all right, cool, I'm in this. Like okay, like these are like that's competition. Like
Hmm.
we're spinning tops. It's cool, man. We're just having fun. Like it's no need to argue. It's no
Yeah,
need to argue.
yeah.
Like
I
like I'm real relaxed about it. Like I get beat by kids all the time. Like I'm not crying about this. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
JJ 16, get in there.
I haven't beat. JJ hasn't beat me yet. I have to stand on that one.
I I,
Hey,
I watch JJ beat Jared all the time though.
Does?
Yeah,
you're like,
like every time Geetzer has to play against JJ, he just loses. Like there's
Uh,
nothing he can do about it. He just gets KO'd.
oh man.
dude,
Hey,
I
if
went against
y'all don't know, JJ is like
legend.
5, right?
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's 5.
5-year-old kid in Maryland is just like knocking out adults any chance he gets. And
Like,
Beyblade, not
I went
physically.
against I went against this dude Max Rod. It was a great blader. His niece, I believe, was there at one of my
Yeah.
Bladers Kingdoms, and like she just borrowed blades from Max, and I was on like a win streak at Bladers Kingdom, hadn't lost, and then she bodies me right. Like she beat me 5-0, and I'm like, good job. I actually
Yeah. Yeah.
burst my like opposite spin combo of like master Spriggan on like metal drift, and
Uh-huh.
like how did she? It was the opposite spin, and she bursted. I don't know. I light launch and everything. I'm like, what just happened? And I'm like, good job. Like, what? And it's just
Yeah.
like, it's all fun. At the end of the day, it's all fun. Like it's like any Bladers Kingdom tournament. I'm the biggest loser because I spent the most money to be there, and I didn't like I didn't win anything. For the most part, like I didn't win anything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm just there to have fun. Like the only reason I host tournaments is because I want to play with the toys I have, and like
Nice. Yeah.
it's all competition. But at the end of the day, like when people are like, "Oh man, I lost," I'm thinking like, not really.
Well,
Yeah.
like that's why I only host Standard in Maryland, because I don't own classic stuff or anything like that, and I want to play.
Anybody for it to be earned, that should be more that outweighs the fun. You know, like your tournament, you're giving away $500. That's few and far between, my dude. Like few and far between. So it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like once a year thing, you know, if
It
that, you know.
is.
Come on, folks. Like this isn't going to be like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and this goes back to my Yu-Gi-Oh days. People just like, oh, I lost. Like I used to lose all the time. It is what it is. Like I
Yeah.
spent money on this. Everybody spent money. That's why we're here. Like it's a part of it. You know, it's just either you like it or you don't. Because if you don't like it, then you're wasting your time, energy, and effort. And I think that gets lost in a lot of people. And
Well,
it's like,
that was a big thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten to a point now where too many people that play are trying to be vendors, so they feel like they get their money's worth out of their cards.
What do you
Like,
mean, like selling,
like
start like a hobby shop or?
no, so we call them vendors because basically what they're doing is like when people don't even really trade cards anymore. They just buy from each other. But what happens is you get all these people that are like, I'll buy that from you. Say it's a $50 card, and they'll be like 30, like offering you $30 for it. So that way, then because it's kind of like, do you want the $30 cash now and move it right now, or do you want to try to find someone that's actually going to give you the $50?
Mm-hmm.
So then like next thing you know, someone's giving it to them for 30, then they're finding a buyer for 50, so they can make money off of it, and vice versa. The other guy will do the same thing with a different card that he knows he can move faster than the one he's selling you.
that doesn't sound fun at all.
It's not. It's like, and then you get people like, we actually had this guy once. We called him Penny Pincher or Penny Pusher because, or Penny Boy. I think we called him Penny Boy because
Penny boy.
because
It went from
no.
bad to worse to I don't know if there's anything penny pincher, penny pusher, the penny
A penny
boy.
boy.
There were so many different names just involving the word penny for this guy because Jared needed a $4 card. Okay, one $4 card Jared needed. This guy wanted like 6 cards that we had, and we're like, well, we'll give you all 6 cards for him. They weren't like, value wise, they weren't going to add up to that $6 card because they're all like 50-cent cards. But I'm like, look, man, you're wanting 6 cards for this one card. Like, and we're not asking you for like a $30 card. It's a $6 card. So I was trying to trade him, and he literally pulls out his phone, and he's going like, well, on this website, this one's only 39 cents, and this one's 42 cents. And I'm like, then guess what? You're not getting any of the cards. Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
So it's funny. Like when I was younger, I had like a bunch of Pokemon cards, a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I had like excess, right? Um, so I used to sell cards. Like I used to sell my Yu-Gi-Oh cards like in my neighborhood. I used to make like little like starter packs, do something for $1 or whatever. And I used to do that. Like one kid like stole from my mom because she was like selling the cards while I was at school. So I had to find him and then like apply some justice to get my card back. But it was just funny because like that's ridiculous. Like, that doesn't sound fun at all. Like the
Yeah.
most I can
It's
remember, like actually like trading a card for like at a tournament was with this dude. He was probably like 30, and I was probably like 12, and he was like, "Yo, I'll trade you these like 7 cards for that Subway sandwich." And I was like, "Bet," right? Because I just went to Subway, and it was like buy 1 foot long, get a second one free. So I got
yeah.
2 the foot longs. He was just like, "I'll trade you these cards for that sandwich," and I was like, "Sure." It was a free
Dope.
sandwich anyway. You could have it, you know. And I still, it was like
Yeah.
one of the cards was Card of Sanctity, and yeah, like it was just out in like the anime and everything. And I still have the card like in my little collection. And every time I see it, like when I stumble across my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I remember like I traded a dude at the comic book store a sandwich for this card, and that's
Sandwich
just so
boy.
funny. But it's like
I think, yeah.
I could never imagine like being that like strict about like something fun, because then it just doesn't seem fun. Like, dude, you want the cards or not? Well, it doesn't. The math isn't mathing. dude, like we're just trying to play some games here, man. Like,
Yeah, I think our personality is of just like people sometimes definitely gets in the way with our with the balance of being competitive and having fun. Like I I don't really like saying hate, but I strongly dislike the cheating or like when the cheating gets involved into the game or like the manipulation and stuff like that. Like I wish people could just be stand up when they play. It doesn't happen. It's like anything that you do, you know, you got to kind of take the good with the bad. It's like anything, but it does suck, man, because it does suck away from the fun. And I'll say it again, like I'm highly competitive. That's the reason why I go to. Well, it's not the only reason. Like y'all, and even when I listen back to the Shindog podcast, we made this investment on these toys, and we want to play with them. We just don't want to sit there and just put them up on a wall or just play with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to be able to go to these competitions, to host these competitions, that we're going to do what we enjoy playing. Like you said, Crisis, is you play standard because you like that. I play standard because I that's what I have also. When the GT format comes out with the WBO, and I'm sure it will, I'll play that too because I have those Beyblades and I really like those. Just like
Right.
my
That's like the
yeah
era I can start playing in is
yeah
GT.
that because that's the era that we kind of came in. As
Yeah.
far as competitive playing,
Yeah.
like I
We
have the
came in
G.
like the end of GT, early Sparking. So we have like all the good GT stuff because we knew at that point in time what to get.
Yes, yes, and that's when we're getting into it. So now to go back and to have the knowledge and some of the drivers that we have now to play in that format, like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Um,
but
and then
that's the
it's
key
just
word, like fun. Like,
yeah,
Price
yeah,
asked me one time, like, he was like, Mike, why are you using Sparkings? And I was like, cause I paid for them. That was it. Like, I paid
yeah,
for them. That was the only reason. Like, I'm using these parts because I paid for them. Like, that's the only answer. Like, I don't want to just have these parts and just like, oh, I never use them because they're not good. So they just sit here collecting dust. Like, no, I'm gonna try and find a way to like beat somebody with this infinite Achilles combo. That's what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna try and beat somebody with this like tack longness combo, and I'm gonna call it my innocent longness, and I'm gonna try and beat
when you
somebody with it.
when you
And I
place when you got third, what was the combo that you used? You had a you they call them spicy combos. If y'all don't know, it's like
my Astro Perseus, Giga, Six, and Gyro.
gyro,
Yep,
gyro.
yep.
So for y'all to listen and don't know, like a spicy combo is a combo. So you have the meta, which is what all the top competitors play. That or what is winning the most tournaments. So you hear bearing drift. Right now it's high extend plus. It's what everyone is using. If you go on the WBO and you see the winning combinations, like you'll see a trend of the different parts and pieces that people are using. No one was using gyro, and occasionally you'll see,
Man, nada.
yeah, you'll see
Man,
these,
nada.
yeah, you'll see these combos and these parts that no one is using, and that is a big thing, and that's what I like to see and I like to do. Um, I do run meta parts because they are good, and I like some of the parts like they're meta parts for a reason, so they are good. But it is nice to have something that's a little bit different. I'm not good with attacks, so I don't use rubber flats, but I found Reboot Dash and I love it. I'm not good with Ultimate Reboot. It goes a little bit too crazy for me. But my Reboot Dash, I love that combo, especially on Guilty. Um, I love that driver, especially on Guilty, so I use it. But yeah, man, Gyro, nobody was using that, and it was nice to see on the winning combinations.
Yeah, it's so funny because like a lot of people are like, why would he use that? Or this guy uses weird combos, and I'm like, I spent money for these toys. Like, I'm not just not going to like use it. Like, I'm going to try and find a way to use these parts to have fun. Like, that's like the key thing is like to have
Quick,
fun.
quick question, Mike. What point in time did you start coming to WBO tournaments? Like what era?
Oh, this was like last year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this was like start of Dynamite Battle, right?
What? Yes, yeah. My first tournament I went to, it was a deceased crab unranked tournament, and I just showed up because I was like, oh yeah, let me just go to one because I didn't like this thing was filled up, and I remember I had like Astral Spriggan on like Giga and then Quattro and then like Royal Bahamut was something, and I just switched up a couple parts on them and just like, oh, just go to a tournament. But yeah, because that's when I started. So my wife wanted to host one for me like maybe like 2 years ago, but she was like, there were none in it. So the ones in the area, she was like, they kept filling up because she didn't know, like, not everybody shows up to tournaments and we can just still show up. So I was like, she was trying to surprise me for one for my birthday. And she was like, the tournaments just kept filling up. So that wasn't going to work. She's like, I'm going to just host one for them. And then she was like taking the test to be a host. She was like, what is a B09? Okay, not good at this. So she was like, that's not going to work. But yeah, so it was like last year, like the Dynamite battle, like Astros around that time, Astro Sprig and Roy Bahamut. I was like, oh sweet, there's a tournament. I'm gonna go to one because like COVID and everything kicked off too, so there weren't any tournaments for a while.
Right, because I think the first tournament I remember seeing you at, because I don't think I went to Crabs on unranked tournament, but I do remember I think the first tournament I met you was LJ Bladers in Virginia.
Yep, I remember that one.
I think, matter of fact, I think well, I wasn't there, but I think because I had just started talking to you, Mike, and then I met you on Instagram, Nightwing, and I was talking to y'all because this was when I was trying to do the 4 gaming tournaments too, and I was like, well, both of y'all are gonna be there. I was like, I don't know if this is the same tournament or if it was one before. I didn't know that was around your first time when you had started Nightwing, but yeah, I remember that era too because I was like, yo, say what's up to Crisis for me, like that's my buddy. And I was telling him like, hey, say what's up to Mike and this and that because it's all a community, man. It's all fun.
Yeah, it was all it's just for fun. It's just all just having fun. Like my first tournament was a 3v3 tournament. I was like, this is awesome. This is great. I get to use my toys.
That's my favorite format. I was not a fan of the single bay.
Yeah, 3v3 to me is interesting. It's like why I like it is because like if I take the first two from you, if I don't secure that third one, like if I can't get a clean sweep, I got a problem. Because now like what blades I'm using, and then now
Yeah.
you're gonna start guessing what to try next, and then that's a problem. Like I just finished uploading the video. I think I showed it earlier, premiered it earlier on YouTube. The metal fight one, and I went against Crisis, and I was up 2-0, and then he pulled out the third one. I think like ours collided like mid jump, and mine got like yeeted out the stadium. So now it's 2-1 for a refresh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I pick my two, and then he picks his, and then he just picks up 3 points straight off the boom. So it's like if
Yeah.
I can clean sweep him, like if you give your opponent a chance to reshuffle, it's over. And that's like what with Bladers Kingdom is like. I could be down 4-0. If I can just get 1 point, I'm still in the game. You know what I mean? I'm still in the game. I can get a reshuffle in and we can try this over. And that happens a lot where somebody's like, oh my gosh, I was up 4 points. And then you just
Yeah.
got, it just happened.
If you want,
And
we already touched on it, but speaking on Bladers Kingdom, because you've answered a lot of my questions already. But like the inspiration for that was Yu-Gi-Oh. Did you want to detail how that event is ran and like how much fun it is? Because I like doing rank because I love the competition. I went to one Bladers Kingdom, and I love the competition there as well. I love the 3G format and 5G format. Um, and I had a lot of fun, especially with all the stadiums. But for anyone who doesn't know like how it goes down, because I think some people are like worried, like it's like, oh, or I can even speak on some of it too. But some people get worried, like, oh, it's so many stadiums, like how can you prepare and this and that. But it's
dude,
if you know your
folks
Beyblade,
hate it.
yeah,
Folks, they like the Bladers Kingdom. Really, like if you talk to people about it, it really lets you know who's in to Beyblade for fun and who's in it to try and be the best
yeah,
of like just the best of like the best for whatever reason. And side note, some people will say I'm like very passive aggressive towards like ranked and trying to be the best. I
hmm,
don't think it's passive aggressive at all. I think I'm very straightforward with the fact I think it's silly. Like it's not passive aggressiveness. I
yeah,
don't think trying to be the best Beyblader is a lucrative mental health decision for anybody. Just have fun, enjoy yourself, and let it work out. Like,
yeah,
and it's not passive. It's very direct. I don't think I'm very passive about a lot of things. Like it's straight to the point. Like being number one is awesome. Like I check my ranking after ranked tournaments all the time to
hmm,
see like where I am. Like, oh, that's awesome. If I get number
So
one, that's sweet. If I don't, it is what it is.
so here's a quick question for you. Do you feel there's a difference between someone wanting to be the best Beyblader and someone wanting to just be the #1 ranked Beyblader?
Let me see. Between the best Beyblader and #1 ranked Beyblader.
The way I see that, and I don't know if like I need clarification because when I see it, when I went to Blader's Kingdom with that, I have my combos and I know how it is. Like within the WBO, the rank system, it's all in the B09 stadium. And I will admit, because even Crisis came to me when I was talking about the FGC, and I only wanted to use the B183 stadium for ranked. And he was like, he asked a question about if you're a good Beyblader, if you're just overall great, it doesn't matter what stadium you play in. And then I was like, but there has to be a standard. And I do feel that way, when it comes to competition, like you do want to have a standard. But on the other end, are you really the best Beyblader if you can only play and only get the wins in one stadium? Because when I went to Blader's Kingdom, I did not think that it was going to work out the way that it did. Like I played in the zero G stadium.
Zero G, yeah. The Destroyer Dome. Oh my god.
Yes, I played in that. I played in the Hasbro stadiums. Um, I played in almost every stadium there. Went to the B183, the B09 standard, and we played in a lot. I played in the Hypersphere Stadium. I don't think I played in the Super King Stadium. I can't remember what that one's called.
The Dash
But
The
Stadium.
Dash, yeah.
yeah, the Dash Stadium. But it was like all the I had my combos and I had them set, and I know how they worked. I know how my bays would work. So depending on the stadium I was in, I would have to look at the slopes and things like that to see like what I would have to do to get it to be able to perform the way I wanted it to. And most of them they still perform the same way. Um, but you just have to be a little bit more cautious and careful. So I feel like in that aspect, that's the difference between like being a decent Beyblader, like really understanding your Beyblades versus like you only playing in one stadium and you getting the top rank in that stadium.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing for me. Like so with the question, like being #1 ranked is cool. It means you're really good at this one thing. You know what I mean? It's like you're really good at this one thing, but anything else, no one knows. And like, so with the other part of the question with the Blader's Kingdom thing, I can tie them both in together. So Blader's Kingdom is based off of Yu-Gi-Oh's Duelist Kingdom / Duelist Battle City. And the whole concept of both of those was it was like a free world kind of deal where you go around and challenge, other Yu-Gi-Oh players, duelists, to a duel, and the winner took home points or cards, whatever it may be. And the terrains were always different in both of those like seasons, both of those like gameplays. And the one was on an island, and the dude had the stadiums essentially set up all throughout the islands. And if you played in the jungle, if you used Earth cards, then those Earth cards had a booster. If you played near the water, had a booster. If you played like up in the air, you had a booster. Your water, your air monsters had a boost there, and your fire, yada yada. So it was like there was different advantages and where people would set up to try and meet people and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you here because I have a better advantage." And then with the one was in the city, Battle City, same type of deal. People would set up in certain spots and like, okay, well, my cards are good near the water, and it was a little bit different the way it's set up, but for the cartoon purposes, they kind of gave that same type of vibe. And it's like the person that ended up being like the champion of that, which was Yugi Moto or Yami, um, didn't like preset a place or practice in one specific area or gear himself towards one like genre of card. It's like, you had to adapt and overcome and just keep it moving. Of course, plot armor plays a big factor into it, but you
yeah.
had to like adapt and overcome. So for me, like I like playing in the standard type stadium. That's cool. Like it's a stadium. For me, like it's just a stadium. It's a tool to play with my toys. Like
Hmm.
I used to play in wok pots, like wooden bowls. Like my wife got me a serving tray, like a turtle shaped serving tray, because I love
Hmm.
turtles. And this thing's flat and has like bumps on it, and the Beyblades don't like go to the middle. But I like Beyblading it every once in a while, just because it's interesting to watch what happens in there. And it's like for me, being #1 at one particular like playing field is nice. You're still #1, but like, are you really that good outside? Like, are you out that good overall? Are you well rounded? And usually the answer is no. It's like if you look at any of like let's say Naruto, right? Like Rock Lee if you look at his chart of like intelligence, ninjutsu, genjutsu, his taijutsu is the only thing that's popping, and like
Yeah,
his
but
endurance. That's it. Everything
yeah.
else he's not good at. He's not well balanced or well rounded. And
Hmm.
most people are like that in life. They have certain things they're good at. They're fast, but they're not very intellectual. Or they're super intellectual. They're not fast or whatever it may be, or a mix of both. But they don't shine in one particular area, like jack of all trades. Or you may just be a master of one. But when you come out of that element, you're not as good. So it's like if
Yeah,
you're number one ranked in this one stadium, you're really good at this one thing, which is awesome. That's fantastic. But it's like if you're taken out of your element, how do you act? And most people act very scared, very I don't know what's going on. This isn't what it's supposed to be. I don't like this. I don't like this, and they cower from it. So like Blader's Kingdom, people have told me, and I've just read like Discord chats, different servers and stuff, like random chats. People send me these things like, oh, this is what they're saying about you. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And I just laugh it off because like I'm not arguing with children over like a game. I'm not doing that. But
yeah,
it's like if you don't want to come to one of my tournaments because you don't like the stadium because you think it's like a gimmicky dumb stadium, only one of us is not having fun that day, and it
yeah,
ain't me, right? Like I'm gonna have fun that day, spinning my little toy tops. You're gonna be at home, like not doing that, and then maybe salty. Now you may go somewhere else and do something else, but like I'm guaranteed to have fun that day, right?
yeah.
And it's like that's it. If Crisis has come and it's taken first place, I think 3 times in a row. Well, not in a row, but 3 times. You said
I've
four,
taken I've taken first twice and second twice.
right? So like that shows that he is good in a variety of stadiums. Like
Hmm.
this is how it goes. Like if you come to Blader's Kingdom, there's like 12 different stadiums. And you don't know what stadium you're going to battle in because I do the coin toss. So only the winner of the coin toss picks a stadium. And you can't win the coin toss every single time, for the like, statistically speaking. So it's like you may end up in a stadium that you've never used before, never even seen before. And your opponent's like, let's go in this one. And you're like, okay. And you battling and you just get bodied. And you're like, but I'm so good. I'm so good. But you just got bodied. And it
Yeah,
starts to break down. Like you're like, it does not compute. Like the robots does not compute, does not compute.
yeah,
And you can
You
start
know,
seeing like affect people like this. And that's the thing. Like, if you are good in one stadium, you're good. Fantastic. But like you're not well rounded, essentially. It's like I made a reference about tennis before, like in a different chat. Like Rafael Nadal is really great at clay. Roger Federer is really good at grass, and Djokovic is really good at concrete, right? And it's like they're all like the kings of this particular area, but they also win a lot in the other areas, right? Like they
hmm
have their one thing they're really good at. Like Federer's really great at grass. It's hard to defeat him on grass, but like he loses there, and then he also wins at the other elements as well. Like fields change, life changes. That's how it goes. Like with
yeah,
rugby, one day you may be playing at. Dude, I played at a place where it was a sewage runoff. Right, it was like the ground was literally soaked with like sewage. Right, like
yeah.
it was like a manure field type of like farm sewage thing. We smelled terrible. Right, the ground was super squishy. It was not a firm ground. Everything was just when you stepped your foot in there, you were sinking. I played on like $1 million AstroTurf. Fantastic. I've played when it's snowing outside and the ground is frozen. These are different like terrains and fields. And if
Hmm.
you're good, if your team's good, you guys will win. If you're not good, you're going to lose. Right?
That's
Football is kind of like the same deal. Like, of course, they all use the same AstroTurf, but then you have like the
the
open domes. So you got the
yeah,
sun
yep.
coming in, you got the wind coming in, temperature control. Basketball is usually all just the same on like wood. So I don't really know about that one, but yeah, like track and field. I used to run on concrete. Then now they run on like this other turf, and then like I consider like a cross country like runner to be like top tier because you're running like outside, up hills, down hills, into potholes, all this other stuff. Like you're good. And it's
Yeah.
like for
I
me,
compare.
if you're gonna do competition, you have to be good at all this stuff. Like if you're good at basketball in the NBA, but you come play street ball and get bodied, well, obviously there is some type of disconnect here. You're good at
That's
these
facts.
rules. And you're really good at playing these particular rules, but you can't play when like it's the same game, essentially the same rules, just a little bit more contact. Like
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if you watch like martial arts or anything, but there was a
hmm
fight between Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who was a former UFC MMA champion, and I think the guy's name was like Rod Cham, who was like a Muay Thai champion. This dude's like, his win record's ridiculous. And they did a fight where it was on and off again of the rules. So round one was going to be Muay Thai, round two was MMA, and then vice versa like that. So obviously one favors one person better. So the first round favors whoever does Muay Thai, which is Rod, and then MMA round favors Mighty Mouse Johnson, who does, can grapple and take you to the ground. And they did this battle, and it's going like one championship or something like that. And the first round, what you'll see is Rod is like walking forward like the Terminator, just hunting down Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse is backing up, trying to defend, because that's not his like.
That's not his realm.
Right. He can fight. He can kick, yada yada yada. But like this different. It's different levels. And he went through that first round. He made it through the round, gave out his hits, his punches, and did all his stuff. And then round two goes around, and then you see Rod is now in the defensive, and Mighty Mouse is struggling forward because this is his element.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it all, it ended in round two with a chokeout with Mighty Mouse taking the win. Well, what does that show you? Mighty Mouse is a more well-rounded fighter because he was able to go 2 rounds, right, and come out the winner versus Rod, who wasn't able to come out the winner at all and got choked out the second round because he wasn't good at the ground game. He did not defend his neck. And it's like, it's how mixed martial arts came to be. If you were good at, Wing Chun, you were good at Wing Chun. If you want to get Tiger Style, you might have a problem. Yada yada. And then have this mixing of the arts. And I think the same should be added to Beyblade. Like, if you're not good in all these other stadiums, but only good in one, are you really that good as a blader? And that's like a thought process. And when people get offended by that, it lets me know that they have this like subconscious kind of doubt of like, am I that good? Because like we went to the medal tournament last weekend and we needed extra stadiums. So we used like the standard B09 versus the BB10. So some people battle on the BB10 and some people battle on the standard. And you can hear people saying, oh, no, I don't want to battle on the standard one. Oh, I don't want to battle on that one. I'm not good in that one. You just admitted you're not good in that stadium, right? Like that's it. Like when I use like a rubber flat, right? It was like pretty much like the extreme dash driver, but for metal, whatever it's called. And I used that one in the BB10. And I did my test launch. It was good. And I went into the actual battle and it self-KO'd. And it happened twice in 2 different battles. But when I did it in the standard stadium, it did great because I'm practiced more in the standard stadium because I don't own the BB10. But like when I lost, it wasn't the stadium's fault I lost. It was because I wasn't good in that stadium. Like it's my fault. And it's like you have to have that self-understanding that if you lose in a stadium, it's just because you're not good in that stadium. Sure, that's exactly because you didn't practice, which means you're not good. Understand that. Like you're just not well-rounded enough. Like if you can't if somebody just can't show up to you while you're walking down the street and throw a stadium down and say, I challenge you to a battle and you win, then you're not good. Like if it has to be under a certain set of rules with a certain climate, a certain airflow, a certain stadium, and that's the only way you're willing to compete, then I don't think you're that good. And you're telling yourself you're not that good because you're not willing to try other things.
Yeah.
Like that's the last.
Yeah, 100%. When you spoke on the rules too, that is a big factor because there's, I think, called rule sharks or whoever that when you play certain games or whatever, they not manipulate the rules, but the rules are set there sometimes and they use them to their advantage instead of just playing the game straight up to where they will be like try to pull out the little hidden rules and to get those little advantages or what they can get, to set it within their favor. And I thought about that with basketball. That was a big thing because people talk about that with Jordan. And if you ever see any like street ballers, there's a million amazing street ballers out there. But they never make the NBA, because the rules are very different from when you're playing on the playground versus when you're playing in a court.
Big difference.
And indoor, they're very different. It's a lot more physical, and it's not like it's not cheating per se. It's just, I mean, you're on a way different turf. It's a different ground, and you have to be able to adapt to that, and it is the well-roundedness, like you say, and that was one of the things. And I felt great when I went to Bladers Kingdom. The one that I went, I took fourth. I had my losses. I lost to Max Rod. Shout out to Max Rod. He's good. I didn't even beat him when he came to the circuit.
Dude's good. He just came out of nowhere and was like, "I'm running."
Yeah. I definitely am. I'm ready to play him again. And
it's actually funny you bring up Max Rod because me and him had a conversation recently, and he talked about how far out of his element he was for pick 3 choose one when we hosted that tournament. And
I did hear him talk about that because that wasn't something that he was as used to. He's used to the 3v3 or 5G.
right. And pick three, choose one, like me and Geetzer did really well at that tournament just because we knew how to manipulate things.
Hmm.
Like we knew exactly, like we built our decks in a way so that way then we knew what combo they would kind of be forced to choose most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not saying you're a rule shark in this, but you take the format and you use that to your advantage, and you can do that. That is a thing.
Right.
100%, and that's one of the advantages with the pick three, choose one. The same with you can do it with I feel like it's kind of hard with 3v3, but you could do it possibly with single bay, especially if you know somebody's running the same thing all day, or that's the only Beyblade they have. It's easy to go back and to choose something that is going to counter that.
Well,
That's
Um,
one of the things. So honestly, that's one of the things. Just a side note there that I think is kind of lame that people do. Like I've
yeah,
noticed this at tournaments before. Like because I did a tournament up in it was like Allen hosted a 64 person tournament, and I was like, I'm running this one combo all day. That was the video. I'm going to run like guilty longness, karma, or over, and then like ultimate reboot dash, right? And I think I won like my first three battles and lost my last three. But I remember seeing people when I was talking to my wife, like, oh, this is the combo he's using. Let me test out to try and beat it. And I'm like, why don't you just try like, coming out with the combo you like we're gonna try and beat, like win with? Like, just have fun. Like you're sitting there stressing, like I gotta beat it with this one, and then they're like, oh, I lost. Like, there's
yeah, not
it's
90% of the time when we were doing single bay, I never switched to bay. I used the same one the entire tournament. Like maybe
yeah,
every
like
once in,
this is what I
maybe
got.
every once in a while I'd be like, okay, you know what? I want to try using this other combo, but it's mostly just because I wanted to test it in a actual tournament scenario.
yeah,
It's
I was
crazy because like
trash at single bay.
people take like it's just pull out a Beyblade, let's battle. Like when people like I make my blades, like I said, like the day before usually. And it's like when I get to a tournament to my opponent is like building their combo, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, did you not already have this in mind? Like, can we battle? Can we play? And I'm sitting there waiting like 2 minutes for you to put a Beyblade together, like, and
No.
then you lose. I'm like, what was the point of this? Like, I just wasted so much time. Like, just can we just play? Yeah, can we just have some fun? And it's like, I don't know, man.
No.
It's really it's interesting. But like with the rule sharking thing, if you guys take a look at the video I just posted, you'll see in my plastic or in the classic one, I technically won a point if I rule sharked, right? And I'm not going to say anything about it because it's I'm not going to dive on that to that too much more. But if you look, you'll be like, he should have won that point based on the fact that his opponent did this. And it's
Mhm.
like for me, I remember I saw it, I was like, I don't care, I was going to lose anyway, But it's just like if I would have
Yeah,
rule shark, it would have just killed the whole vibe. At least me personally, because I'm like, hold up now. Technically, I should have won that. And then it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I've
okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's just like
yeah,
it just
I've
kills the
had
vibe.
yeah, I've had instances to where I don't know how to say it. I think it's katink. Whatever it is, it's like it's not the normal sniping. It's when you're sniping when they're midair and you just KO them before they touch the stadium.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's happened to me. That happened to me at the last tournament, and I didn't say anything. Because when it happened again, the person self KO'd, and I ended up winning. But I don't wanna be that guy, and like I could. The only time when I would say that I would be like
I mean,
super anal. Go ahead.
technically though, that's not against the rules.
It's not.
No,
I
right,
thought they
right.
said it was okay.
No, right now that is technically not against the rules. There's a form that
I
has
thought it
been
had to touch the floor. I had to touch the floor before.
not, no, that's why there's a form for it. There's a form for it that has been there for the past 2 years of whether or not it should be allowed or not. And the problem
Mm,
is there's too many instances where people are like,
they can't tell.
how are you really going to know if they didn't touch the floor? Like if you're holding the video camera up above them, you're not seeing their driver touch or not.
Yeah.
Like what angle do you have? Like, do you have to start your camera down at one angle here, and then you don't get all these other angles of the stadium to see if something gets KO'd or not? It's really hard to determine whether that should be technically legal or not. Like
Well,
the part of it is just basically like You just have to watch for someone that goes into your launch zone.
Yeah.
Like that's the only part that is illegal. They're not allowed to move their hand into your launch zone.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. So I take that back. Either way, it worked out because
Like
it
I
worked
said,
out because I still won. But yeah, I try not to. I don't think I don't ever. There'll be times if I know it was a clear outspin that I'll ask the judge. I'll be like, "Do you mind just looking at it again?" You know, but that's more because I feel like I don't want to be cheated. I understand like it's a game, like we playing, we having fun, but I don't want to be straight up like, come on, man, like be
Yeah,
legit. And
you
I
stole
do
that
it both
from me.
ways too, because
I'm
there's been
sorry,
You
times that
stole
James,
that
I've
from me.
you rolled.
yeah, there's been times where it's like where I knew I lost also, and the judge would be like, yeah, I got the win, and I'll be like, no, take another look back, or I'll be like, can you look at it again? Because I'm not with pressuring the judge or anything like that to make them to make a decision, and I won't even tell them like what to look for. I'll just be like, hey, do you mind looking at it again? Because that happened with one kid I was playing over in like the Charlotte area of North Carolina, and he clearly beat me. I mean, I was looking at it and I watched it, um, and the ruling was that I won. I was like, nah, just take another look again and see. And they were like, okay, yeah, cool. So that happens. That happens sometimes, but I think the only time like I know at Dark Content I'm going to be competing, and it's not for me. I know it's money, but I'm selfish with this. The fun for it is going to be there, but like I said, I'm competitive, so I am going there because I want to win that thing.
You
So
have to be my
I do
wife.
want.
That's where I have to go because
She's gonna play.
well, it's because remember, so you want me to come down there to MC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't battle, so she gonna have to step in.
Why can't you battle?
Oh, all right, say less.
Okay. Yeah. You could battle. So
Oh, say less.
um, this was another question that I had, and this is why I wanted you to be able to do it. Um, I remember talking to you. My question was like, what are your future goals in Beyblade? And the reason why I asked is, um, I mean, you can explain it more, especially if I'm off. And Mike, you can actually jump on this too. With Beyblade, like some of my goals and my dreams are, I don't want to be number one. I don't care to be looked at as number one. And this is me on my nerd side. I really like I said, I like Free De La Hoya, even though he was ranked number one. I like Ryuga more because it was just his character and his personality. Like people weren't hailing him as like the king of games or like the number one blader, but when he stepped into an arena, you knew that he was bringing it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was no doubt or no question, and it wasn't like he didn't get the praise or anything like that. Mainly because he was a bad guy, but um, he was also like somebody that's highly competitive, like Louis. Um, it's the same way. Like yeah, Louis not ranked number one, but if you're battling him, you need to bring your
It's
A
gonna be
game.
it's gonna be a man.
Yeah,
Like they did my man Louis dirty. That's all I gotta say. They did my man Louis.
yeah, it's like he's not they're not ranked number one right now. I like the protagonists, like I like Vault and I like Jenga, I think his name was, or Tyson and all that. But I don't want to be like any of those guys. I don't want to be striving to be number one and to hold that title. I want to be the guy that's like low key. I show up and people doubt me or people don't know or this and that, and I still put in work. And I remember like you told me that when I met you that you were saying like you wanted to be like the announcer guy in the helicopter,
That's
like
it.
hey yo
That's
yo
it.
yeah, this and that. So I was like, man,
That's
if you
it.
could do that at Dark Continent and because I saw when you posted like your wife was going to compete and you weren't, but I was like, man, you can walk around like I'm gonna definitely need help with judges, but I can knock your match out. You knock it out early, man. You could walk around, walk up to the bladers. You can talk to people. You could do what you want to do
Bet.
for your channel and talk this and that. But yeah, man, I want you definitely 100% to compete. I don't want anybody that's coming there to feel like they have to work and can't compete. And I'm hoping that I can get the judges to where it's like, hey, only a couple of judges are judging for these amount of rounds, and I'm a judge too. Um, that way is fair. I'm gonna try to judge and run it, and then once these judges get through these amount of rounds, then they could take a break, so they could completely focus on only blading for the rest of the time. And with the judges too, anybody's listen, I look out for judges. I'm not just having you judge and then nothing. You'll get a I'm not able to just give you money to pay you to judge, but you'll get a discount or a Beyblade or something, especially at this event because it's really big.
Yeah, that's love right there.
Yeah, so it's not just gonna be like, hey, I just need you to judge and not look out because I know judging can be stressful, but I want people to enjoy the event. I want to be competitive, and yeah, I definitely want you to play. So,
Oh,
and Mike, you could talk about your goals too, Crisis, but that is my goal. I don't want to be number one ranked to this and that. I'd rather have people doubting me, and then I come in and win and not say a word. Or just when I come into it's like the guy, like when I walk in or something, I'm nothing that nobody was talking about. Like nobody was like, oh, James or Stay Cool is gonna be there. Like nobody says anything. When I step in the room, people are whispering, like, oh yeah, that's the guy. He's pretty good too. That would
nice,
be more that would be great
nice.
satisfaction for me.
Kind of like when Mike shows up and they're like, "Oh, that's Mike Nightwing from YouTube."
Yeah.
It makes me laugh every time. I'm just like, I'm just a dude. What's up, guys? What's
Man,
up,
you're
birds?
famous. I was getting messages about it with the kid that came up there from Atlanta, man. You made his you made a lifetime impression on him.
Dude, what's crazy is like, it was close. It was close. I talking trash, but it was close, man. It was close. And he
Yeah.
had his cheering squad with him. It was close. But I had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
old boy down. I had to shut him down, man. But he had a good time, like when it was all over. And if I'm not mistaken, Crisis Crusher gave him a Beyblade.
I did.
Yeah, he gave him something. Didn't you give him something?
Yeah, he was talking about Perfect Belial, but he didn't have Guilty or the L gear yet, and I had
Yeah.
plenty of extra parts from like the random boosters and stuff, so I just gave him a full Guilty and an L gear.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
like, he was so happy, man. It was ridiculous. And like that's what it was all about. Like, yeah. So like, but to the part of what I want, like my point of Beyblade is honestly just to have fun. Like
I mean,
I just
last Players Kingdom, I gave that kid that launcher too.
yeah. So yeah, didn't you win the launcher? Yeah, you
Yeah,
won in the raffle. And was like, here you go, you can have it. Because like it's all just for fun, just if you can pass on some enjoyment. Like I saw you when we were at LJ's tournament, and you came with like the box of spare parts and was like, if somebody needs, they can just have it. You just gave like
Yeah.
part, and then at Bladers Kingdom, the kid that you were helping out ends up taking first place. So, first of all, be careful with who you like, what,
It
sir?
happened to me. I was helping this kid. I was showing him like, yeah, you want to launch like this and this and that, and then we went up and he beat me, knocked me out of the finals.
Yeah, you sitting there like, man, come on now. You look feeling like Vegeta going against Cava. Like, come on.
well,
Come on.
Yeah.
that's like my whole thing. Every time I go to a tournament and I see these people, I want to give them a good impression so they keep coming back.
Coming back. Yeah.
Like,
I
you
want
want to
these
enjoy
people
themselves.
to enjoy this game so much that they want to spend a day to come and play it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of this game. Like if I could, I would be out playing in a tournament right now.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
can't.
it's enjoyable. Like when I go against, like usually I'll keep like some kind of like low tier like Hasbro combos sometimes in my box. So like if I see a kid I've never seen before and like I have like a solid feeling he's coming out with Hasbro parts, I'll go with like a Hasbro one to make it more enjoyable. Because I don't want to like burst his blade with like a guilty. Like that's demoralizing if he just gets body like that. Like, oh, burst is over. I'm like, I'm gonna come up with like, okay, let's see how this Hasbro combo does. And it's like, I may take the L. Guess what though? He had a good time, and I had fun
Yeah.
too trying these parts. It's like I'm not trying to, it's like, winning's cool. I love winning. Winning's always fun. It's way better than losing. But like, if you can have fun,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
if
crush
that's
You
like the basis is fun, it's gonna be a good
yeah.
time.
You're a better man than me. I'd take guilty. I take
I
guilty every time. I'll go and I'll talk to him later. Like a lot of what I'll do, especially like with the store. If I see a kid that only has Hasbro or they only have like one or two like legitimate Beyblades, I'll give them a Beyblade, but I'm beating them. Or I'm playing them like straight up, and then I'll see it and I'll be like, okay. But I had because there's a kid here, he's local here, and he was really bummed the last tournament, man. I felt so bad. And we had the gift card for the number one, and I ended up giving it to him. Like I could have gave it to second place, but shout out to LJ Blader. He's really great. I know he has a lot of bays, but the kid that's local here, he has some. I'm not gonna put his business out, but like he takes care of his mom, he takes care of his family. Um, he didn't have as much, if that makes
Right.
sense. So
Yeah.
I try to look out for him, and I give him bays because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, other people here, they have Takara Tomy, and he just has what he has. So I gave him the gift card because before I gave him a bay, but then I was like, you know what? Take the gift card. That way you can choose exactly what you want. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You get the one that you want. And if y'all do see me running in single format, because I know I'm shouting out on how much I hate it now, but I do understand the benefits of it for the kids who do not have as many Beyblades or the kids who are
Definitely. Yeah.
coming
Definitely.
into the game. And it's like, single bay, even if they don't win the whole tournament, they can win some matches and they could even make it in the finals if they have that one legit combo. Um, and that's what it is for. So yeah, I 100% agree with you, Crisis, and you too, Nightwing. I want everyone to have fun, and I want them to keep coming back. I hate it, and I make these speeches at every event. I'm like, if you're rude or you're disrespectful or anything like this, I will gladly walk up to you and be like, you can no longer come back, because I'd rather that one person no longer come back than for them to ruin it for 10 other competitors. And half of our community is gone because one person wanted to be rude.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and that's the great energy you got to have because like
Yeah.
one person can ruin it for everybody if this person can come back. It just reminds me like I used to at a dog park when I was in college. Like this one dude used to bring his like husky, and she was not trained at all. She had no manners, and she would just like try and fight all the other dogs. So everybody just like went to a different like section of dog park, like that his dog wasn't in, and just kind of like shunned him essentially. And people stopped showing up at the dog park because he kept bringing his dog to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like nobody wanted to come to dog park because he kept showing up. And it's just like you don't want that. You don't want
Yeah.
that kind of energy where like one person with an attitude ruins it for everybody else. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's all about fun. Fun is the main goal. Like if you didn't have fun, like I ask people all the time at the Blades Kingdom, did you have fun? Did you enjoy yourself? If they say
Yeah.
no, I'm like, why not? If they say because I lost, I'm like, well, you gotta get better. Come on, try harder. But if it's
Yeah.
like something where it's like I didn't have fun because whatever, we can try and fix it. But like it's all about fun. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially for your kids. Like, why are you stressing? Dude, you're 11. Chill out. Life is sweet right now. You're good, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't pay taxes. Like, just wait until that happens. It's
Yeah.
rough.
Mike,
Man.
did
Yeah.
you have Crisis, did you have a question? Another question? I had something that I want to bring up, but it's kind of a different topic. I just thought about it as we were talking about the mindset of some people that come to the tournaments.
Honestly, my questions were pretty much answered through us just talking.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing I can kind of ask is like, what is it? What is it you want to accomplish through like with Beyblade? Like whether it's through the WBO or through your own stuff. Like, what is your main goal with Beyblade?
I just want to have fun with my toys, man.
Well,
That's
there
it.
you go.
Like, so you guys know I'm opening up like the gaming loft, right? So
Yeah.
Nightwing
Shout
Gaming
that
Loft.
out.
And the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to play with my toys. That's it. Like, but for me, funds have to like your fun has to fund your fun. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like I want to. Like, I used to play competitive video games in college, Halo, Street Fighter, and like Call of Duty. Right? I used to play competitively, and it was cool. I recorded my videos, put them on YouTube, fun stuff. And I probably could have been like pretty decent as like a streamer if I kept that up. But it's just one of them things. Just like, oh, this is fun. And like I'm opening up the gaming loft just so I can play with my toys. Because I remember how much fun I had when I was a youth playing with my toys against other people. And I was talking to my old man a while ago, and we used to go to this place called Jeepers, which is like it was like Chuck E. Cheese but with a roller coaster inside.
Mhm.
And we used to go to like every weekend. And kids had like little kids have Jeepers or Chuck E. Cheese, right? And then adults have like the movies or whatever, or teenagers have the movies. But like, what's that like mid-tier, mid-age thing where you're like 12, 13, too old for like Chuck E. Cheese, but too young to be just hanging out at the movies all day.
Mhm.
It was the arcades, right? You went to arcades. Well,
Mhm.
arcades have been shut down for the most part. They're obsolete because everybody has arcades at home with their video game consoles. So I was like, well, I want to open up some type of like gaming, center where you can play games. Come and play games. But obviously, it needs to make sense, financially. So it needs to at least break even to pay for all the stuff. Like if we're buying for these TVs, it needs to be like can't be free because it's not government funded. But it just needs to be something to have some fun. And I just want to have fun. So even with Beyblade, I just want to have fun. Like I think of random formats or ways to play. Like the other day, I posted up one about like classic versus classic X metal, right, on a WBO forum. And essentially, that was because when I was walking to take out the trash, I was thinking about that fight I told you guys earlier against Mighty Mouse and Rod, how they did, different rounds, and I was like, that would be so much fun in Beyblade, where it's like burst and metal, and you do burst versus burst, metal versus metal, burst versus burst, all the way down the line, first like 6 points, whatever wins. That would be so much fun. Right? I was like, that seems like it would be such an enjoyable time because now you're just like, okay, I can beat this guy in burst, but I can't beat him in metal or something like that. Just add some more elements to it. And I
Yeah.
proposed it as like, what do you guys think about this? Like, this just seems like a fun thing. People are like, oh, that just sounds dumb. And I'm like, how does this sound dumb? Like, at what point does spinning tops become dumb? You know what I mean? Like, how do you not have fun in this? And it's like, I don't understand it. Like,
I have
how do I put it? I get it, because I try and focus on duality. So I understand where people are taking it very serious and then they're taking it very like lackadaisical like I am. But I'm like, do you not see the fun that can be had with this? Like, I'm not
I
trying to like change what you guys are doing, but can you not see how this is fun? And like,
yeah.
this just seems dumb. Like, how is that not fun? Like,
I
you're
have
spinning tops.
I have learned on the forum, like some posts, it doesn't matter what you put up there, someone is going to argue
Oh, I
and
noticed that
say, yeah.
quickly.
It's like when I first got up there, I didn't look at it as like how, Facebook posts or Instagram posts are or Twitter or whatever. I don't have Twitter and all that, but it is like everyone is going to have an opinion, and sometimes their opinion is set on arguments instead of looking at it to be like, I could see could this is work, and that's the type of feedback I can give, and I'll be like, hey, like I could see this being fun or something that could be enjoyable. I don't have Metal Fight Beyblade, so it's probably something that I wouldn't play,
Which is
but
weird. You sell them.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't have enough to compete with. The ones that I have, I collect them because I got my El Dragos, but I'm not playing with them, man. I'm the dad. What's the Craggle from the Lego Movie? I'm like that with them. I don't.
Oh, with the
Those
super
don't.
lawyers.
Yeah. Those don't touch the stadium. But I think it's just a matter of going into things with an open mind and looking at it to be like constructive, because there's no one up there that makes these initial posts or these proposals trying to kill Beyblade. You know what I'm saying? There's no one that's doing that. But then it's like some people take offense to where it's like somebody has a different idea or a new opinion, and they're automatically like, "Oh no, this is stupid. Like you're gonna ruin the game. This will never work." And it's like, good God. And some things, it's like I'll
It
bring
makes
it
me
up.
so sad. It
Yeah,
makes me so, dude.
the
Somebody said like,
B183. Oh, my bad. The
no, you go
B183
ahead.
stadium. I was so passionate about that because it's like, dude, that is what Japan plays in, and they have KOs, bursts, all that. That is what the world pretty much plays in, and y'all are dogging it, But yeah, go ahead though.
No, it's like somebody commented like, you're trying to ruin 20 years of Beyblade. And I'm thinking like, bro, I was here when it started, sir. Like, how you're like 12. Like, you don't know 20 years. Like, you don't know anything about Beyblade. Like, it's
Ruining 20 years of Beyblade when 20 years of Beyblade has been spinning a top.
Yeah.
that's all it is. I'm like, dude, it's literally just like you're spinning like tops. Like when they're arguing like it kills, attack types. And I'm like not really. Like, just try a different driver. Well, if it's
Yeah.
not a rubber flat, it's not an attack type. But I'm thinking like, but I remember Dragoon was the original attack type, and it was like a plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when it was rubber, it was round. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
it was never flat. Like I was never a flat rubber tip on Dragoon ever.
Yeah.
And like, but that was like the number one, the first attack type. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, how are you guys so unhappy with
Yeah.
playing with toys? Like this just doesn't compute to me. Like I've never not had fun playing with my toys. Like
Yeah.
throughout my life, like there are toys.
Yeah.
Like if someone comes up and was like, yo, let's try like let's Beyblade on like let's go in the swimming pool and then put the Beyblade on like the dish on the stadium on like a thing and it floats and somebody's like, nah, it just seems dumb. I'm like, you don't have happiness, do you? Like, how are you not happy? like I did
Yeah.
the whole like I went to talk to Hasbro and he could tell me about like revamping the plastic generation, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, the hardest part of this is going to be getting them to actually take me seriously, right? Like saying, okay, cool, cool. But I was like, if I have the community support, I can be like, look, this is a petition, yada yada. What do you think about it? And honestly, I didn't realize the hardest part would be actually getting the community to say like to agree.
Yeah.
Like there was I'm not gonna say his name, but it was like one YouTuber, and I was in like his forum because people were just like dogging me, like this guy's like, who does he think he is? Like if it dies, he can't help it. And I'm like, why are you guys so like dark about this?
Yeah.
Like if you can prove as a community that everybody likes this and it's a good idea, some higher up somewhere will be like, oh, I'm gonna steal this idea, pitch it to the board, get myself a nice big promotion, and I mean, who cares? Like, it may work, it may not work. But I was
Yeah.
like, it's like a philosophical thing. I forgot the name of it. It's like something window, right? And it was about the belief in religion. So for this part, we'll just say Santa, right?
Yeah.
Actually, no, not Santa. Darn it. I don't know who's listening. Let's say, let's I don't know. Let's just say the belief in something, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you believe in this thing and it's not true, then no harm, no foul, right? But if you
Hmm.
don't believe in this thing and it turns out to be true, well, you just lost that, ability to have it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, if you don't believe in this thing and it turns out to be true, then you're kind of just like SOL. But
Yeah.
if you don't believe in it and it turns out not to be true, well, guess what? It is what it is. So philosophically, it's better to believe in it, right? And just see what happens. Because if you believe and it's true, you get the prize at the end. But if you believe and it's not true, well, guess what? You just you don't get the prize.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that was my theory when I was talking to people. It was like, well, just sign up. Okay, you don't like it, you think it's not going to work. It's cool, but can you sign a petition? It's free. It takes you like 2 seconds to hit like sign. And they're like, no, I just don't believe in it. I think it's stupid. And I'm like, you're willing to just like sandbag, not sandbag, but you're willing to say, no, I'm not going to sign something that may or may not work because I just don't think it'll work. But it doesn't
Yeah.
cost me a dime. Like I'm not asking you for anything but like 2 seconds to hit like this. And it literally took, I think, like maybe since it started, I think now it's like 1,000 signatures or something like that. That's not enough. Like that's not enough.
Yeah.
If that's not enough to say, hey, this is a good idea. Only 1,000 people like it. Like that's not enough. And I had no idea like the hard part would be actually talking to like get the community on board to say this is a good idea. Because then people are
Saw
like, oh,
that.
I don't want this. I don't want this one. I want this one instead. Like it should start with Metal
Hmm.
Fight. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but that's not how it started. Like if you reboot a series, you start from the beginning. Like you just
Yeah.
start from the beginning and they do it. And if they like it, goes to the next one. And they're like, well, I'm not going to sign it because I want Metal Fight instead. But why? Like I get it.
That
That's cool. We can pitch that later. But like that doesn't
that's
like
a
that's
big thing.
illogical.
Hmm.
Doesn't compute.
That
Like just sign it.
Yeah, that's a big thing with me. Because I feel like I'm like you in that aspect. Like when I want to do something, like I want to do it. And I got my favorite rapper, J. Cole. He had a lyric. It
Haha.
was, yeah, he was like, some like if they don't know your dreams, they can't shoot them down. It's not the same as in this situation. Because yeah, I mean, people have to know to be able to sign the petition. But a lot of things, a
You
lot
keep
of
your stuff
things,
secret, man, because
yeah,
people try to like knock you down and discourage you like big time.
they will, and it hurts. And the thing that's so wild to me, because this is beyond Beyblade, but we're discussing Beyblade, but it's like, you'll have an idea, you'll propose an idea, and then you go forth with it or want to go forth with it. And everyone and their mama will be like, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb, and this and that. And even if you come to them, like I'll come back and I'll be mature about it, and I'll be like, well, what do you propose as something better? And they're like, well, I don't know, but not that. And it's like, what?
But yeah,
Or they'll have some idea, and then they'll be like, well, do you mind helping me? Like, no, 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 I don't have time. I don't want to. So pretty much all you're good for is just critiquing and bashing everything that I am trying to do to help. Even if my ideas are wild and crazy to your standards, like I'm trying to do something versus you not doing nothing but just continuing to argue with me. And I feel like that is so it's so
it's
I'm
weird,
trying
man.
to use a
That's
good
what I've been
word.
running to
Yeah,
the
it's
past
just
couple days.
backwards. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And it's tough.
yeah, I proposed I think yesterday, day before yesterday, about the like like changing the ranked and amateur thing. And people are like, this guy's a nice guy, but he's like causing too much ruckus. And I'm like, it's a game. Like you can't really cause ruckus. Like, do you think this is a good idea? Maybe yes, no. Like, this isn't like I'm trying to destroy your lifestyle. Like, what's going on here? And it's so interesting how people think, and it makes me sad. Essentially, like not like oh my god, I'm cry about it, but it's like how can you be?
Yeah,
So,
it hurts. I know what you mean.
Like how can you be so like?
What gets
closed?
me about that is like going back and looking at that thread. No, like there was only really one person that was like really blowing up about it compared to everyone else. Like everyone else might have had like a small like slight opinion towards it, whether it was good or bad, or maybe this could be different or whatever. But then there's just one person, and
It's just raging, just
right. Like that's like when I made my proposals about changes that I think should be seen within the WBO and the rules for bursts and stuff, and it's like I had like two people that just
they were so
instantly
angry,
started
dude.
they were just so angry about one thing. They're like, oh, we like everything else, but this one thing, no, get it out of here.
It's like, yo, it's not that big of a deal. Like
why? It's like this is a proposal. This is a proposal. I'm asking for y'all's opinion. You don't have to hate me. It could even been as simple as like, I like these. I don't agree with this part. I appreciate you writing this up. It could have been that simple.
Right.
Just straight like that.
But it's like they have to start writing all this hate, and then I feel like I have to ask them, well, why? Like, why do you hate it this much? Because they went so big against it. Right. It's like if they just say, I don't really like the idea of this because, I'd rather just see traditional Beyblade be in the standard stadium, not the DB. Okay, that's it. But when you're sitting there telling me I don't like the DB stadium because you can't use attack in it at all. Attack, sucks. What drivers are you using? Tell me, because I've played in the DB stadium enough, and I've played in tournaments with the DB stadium to see enough KOs happen. So I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you're saying traditional attack doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, is this original plastic gen Beyblade? Like, it's
that's
not.
where my question comes in. Like, so what's traditional? Because again, Dragoon was plastic, and then a rounded rubber. Like when I heard that variable was kind of maybe an attack, I'm like, hold up, but variable is literally Dragoon's first rubber driver, essentially. Like, wait, where are the facts here? What are y'all using? It's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous.
It's tough. It's wild. I have one. I have. Did y'all have any other questions, or did you have another question, Mike?
No, I'm pretty good.
I got a solid statement though.
Solid statement.
Yes.
Can I'm a Nightwing. I'm gonna come back to you 1 second with your statement as well as was it your statement regarding what we were just discussing?
Yeah, it was just about like people's mindset.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
There was like one individual, and like in the proposal or in the chat thing, I was just like, you got it, just like you win, cool. And I showed this to my wife because their response was, no, I don't got it. I still have, and I was just like, I showed it to my wife, was like, this is how you know somebody's really upset. Because like,
I saw that.
Like, dude, I've seen arguments like that, and the person's like, all right, man, you got it, man, you win, and you're like, no, I'm not, I don't win. I'm like, now you're just kind of like you're making a fool of yourself. And I think when it gets to that point, I think people need to like take a second to realize like, is this really worth like this is a lot of energy I'm putting out to this, and I'm not in a happy place. Like you can't be in a happy place if you think that way. And that's why I think things start to deteriorate when it's like this is again just a game. It's a game. And if this game starts to ruin your mental health or like your mindset, you gotta do something different because it's a game.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a lifestyle, essentially, quote unquote, not a lifestyle. It's a game. You're not gonna die.
I 100% agree with you on that, and I think like last night I put up a proposal and I said it's probably gonna be my last. And it really wasn't a proposal; it was just things that I would. Well, I guess it is a proposal. Things that I would like to see happen. But the reason why I was saying it was my last because I've been on WBO for about 2 years, and I got up there and I did my 50 posts. This is when the quiz used to have to do what it was, and I was pretty active on the site. But I don't like the arguing because to me it is an escape from reality. And actually, I'm gonna let this lead into the topic I wanted to discuss is escape because I mean I'm in the Coast Guard, active duty Coast Guard. My job is pretty stressful. Um, so to play with Beyblades, to have the
Yeah.
store and everything like that, like these are the toys. This is my time away. Running a tournament is stressful. I'm not gonna say that it's not, but it is a joyous time, you know, to be part of the anime lifestyle, the gaming community, and things like that. And I want to have that. And when I hop on the forum, that's why I say like I want us to be able to talk and discuss things without just arguing and fighting. So I put it up as like possibly my last proposal, and that's only because like I don't feel like arguing with people. And it's like I'm against it, but it's like, look, man, I argue at work, you know, like there's there like I'm not about to be fighting at work and having to deal with the things that I deal with at work, like with the missions and things like that. I'm not gonna get into all that. And then I come home, you know, I have 4 kids. I love them to death, you know, but kids are stressful sometimes. You know what I'm
Very
saying?
much
They
so.
get
Very
home
much.
from school and it's a whole lot, and then you know I have to be there for my wife and help my wife out and things like that. And then I'm trying to hop on and to discuss like Beyblades and some nice topics, and then it's just like arguing, and it's like, man, I don't want to do that. You know, it's like these things that I like and I want to communicate about, and let's talk about it. Like this is our escape. Like if I wanted to talk about the new anime episode and it's like, man, did you think this was cool? And somebody like it could be something that simple. It seems like, man, I thought this was really cool, and it'd be like, no, there wasn't anything cool about that. Like this was the only cool part in the show, and it's like, what? You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
this is
I
just
do. Like, it's
it's like what are you arguing for? So then it's like, you know, I'm gonna host the events because my tournaments always stay cool, like what my name is. And I think a lot of that is because face to face. I know there's a lot of keyboard warriors and people are a lot different behind the computer screen than they are like face to face. But um, the other topic I was gonna talk about because I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. It's with the anime and gaming world, and it's one of the things that I like. I got another friend too. His name is Chris. I'll shout you out. It's Caden's dad. We actually talked to Caden last time, and I talked to him because even though I don't speak on it a lot, like I have like social anxiety. Like I'm socially like I can get socially awkward. My wife kind of points it out. Like when I meet people in random places, like I'm weird. Um, and just the way that I talk. And I don't really hang out like that. Like even when I first met Mike, shoot, he could probably tell you like he came to Greensboro. He was like, "Hey, you want like I came down, I probably saw him for like 5 minutes, and this was like not the first time we met, but and then I went right back up into my room. Like I don't really hang out like that. Um, and then,
I
I mean that's
understand.
just that's just what it is. And so when I had a tournament, it's like I go and I do my thing. But we talk about it, and there's different personalities at tournaments, and it kind of goes back. And I'm not gonna say any names, but you meet different people with personalities, and they have various possible like mental health issues or things like that, or just social awkwardness. And I feel like the Beyblade community, I think it's a beautiful thing. And I went to an anime convention not too long ago. I mean, because I'm not saying y'all are like this or whatever, but I mean, you look at us, this lifestyle is not a part of like what the real world is. We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about like business and all this and that. We're talking about toys, and we are heavily involved in it. And we're talking about anime and gaming. And the Beyblade for me is a time to take those hobbies and to have that enjoyable time and to bring it into real life. The same way Yu-Gi-Oh was, you know, or you do Pokemon. It's like to get that escape from reality and people could come together. They're not judging you because you're socially awkward or you're autistic or anything like that. You know, it's like, hey, we're coming together. We don't care if you're black, white, brown. If you're making straight A's or straight F's in school, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody cares about that. Like what type of issues you may have or this and that. Like we're here to enjoy each other's company, enjoy each other's time, and that's a beautiful thing that I have seen at a lot of tournaments because there isn't judgment in that. Like people might judge you because you're running a bad combo or something like that, but they're not so much going to mistreat you because of
They're not
um
judging you as a person. They're judging you
yeah,
as
they're not judged. Yeah, you know, and I do love that about the gaming and the anime world. Because I mean, and I have met people who are um possibly autistic or like socially awkward, and they run into some issues at times, but after they come to some events, they get more comfortable and they start making friends and things like that. And that is one of the most beautiful things that I've seen, especially in my local area. Like some kids will come and they won't be talking at the first event, and then you get to talk to them and you get to know them, and some of the things like they could have issues going on at home or issues going on in school or their personal lives, but when they're playing Beyblade, they get a break and they get away from all that, and the community is beautiful and helping to build that. And once again, this goes beyond Beyblade. It's like anime and gaming and stuff like that. You go into any hobby shop, you see people who and I'm one of them, this may be just socially awkward or things like that, but we do have a chance to um grow and adapt. And I don't know really where I was trying to go with this. If y'all wanted to elaborate on it more, like definitely feel free to. But I do think it is a beautiful thing that we do have that within the Beyblade world or within the Beyblade community. No one feels out of place, no matter how different they are, what they have going on.
So like what I gathered was more so back to what we were saying in the beginning about like having fun,
Mhm.
because it's like a place where you can just have fun. But what can ruin that and start causing like triggers and stuff is when you take things a bit too seriously.
Yeah,
And like there's a difference between like serious, like you're trying to win versus like having like a rage quit. You know what I mean? Like it's a different. And if you're at the point where like you mentally have a rage quit in a battle and stuff, like something's not working right. Like something's not computing in your head and you're just upset. And that's where things start to change. And like no matter what you may be going through like in your personal life, if you came to come play with like some toys, you should be focused on like just enjoying the toys, having fun with that and just vibing out with that. And it's like a lot of folks don't just vibe like that, like it's like it's fantastic that you're here to play, but like you got to keep that stress somewhere else because why are you bringing that to a kid's spin top event? You know what I mean? It's like what are you doing is the best way I can put it. Is like why did you come if you're going to bring negativity? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
come in, be happy, enjoy it, and go in there with the mindset of like I'm not coming out like winning money. You know what I mean? Like no matter what. And that's my thought process. Like if you travel, to go somewhere, like if you make like me driving from my house to Silver Spring to do a Beyblade tournament is already negative monetarily for me as soon as I leave the house. Because I'm not going to make that money if gas money back. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's just how it goes. But if you're going for the fun of it, no matter what happens, you had a good time. You know what I mean? Like at some point, I'm gonna go up to Canada, right? Because I've never been to Canada, and I'm gonna go to Toronto to find a Beyblade tournament while I'm up there. Like, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna battle, and I'm probably gonna lose, and that's gonna be the end of it. It's like I'm not going up there to like be the
Mhm.
best, and if I take it L, like I'm gonna be upset. Like, nah, I'm just going to go battle these people that I've seen on the internet, and I wanted to beat them, and I didn't beat them. They got me, and keep it moving. Like I'm gonna be in Florida in like January, right? And I'm gonna see if I can find a Beyblade tournament because I'm already going
Mhm.
on vacation down there. So I'm gonna see if I can find a Beyblade tournament. And it's like if I lose, I lose. I win, I win. But I'm not going down there like with too much hope. I guess that's the way to put it, of like being the
Yeah,
champion. Because then I just ruin my vacation. Like I don't want to be ruining my vacation. You know what I mean? I don't want
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like, nah, you got to
yes.
be happy.
I feel on that, and to keep the community like positive, because there are people coming to these events and we want them to keep coming back and to have fun and enjoy themselves. And if you see somebody that's not being cool, you know what I'm saying, like definitely talk to them, pull them aside or something like that, because these events, like I said, man, it is a stress, it is a stress reliever for me. It is a good time to get away from the drama and the chaos of the world, and we definitely want to keep and have that going, like for a positive outreach and outlook, man. That's 100% how I feel. Um, did you want to speak on that, Mike, or did you have anything?
I mean, just like the community for Beyblade has so much potential to just be nothing but positivity. but it's like in the thread that Mike had posted recently, I had even said that the minute they put a ranking system in, you threw fun out the window. And some people don't understand that, but here's the thing. Every sport inevitably becomes competitive. There's
Yeah.
it always will become competitive, and there will always be a more majority of people wanting to play competitive than just for fun. It gets that way every time. And the whole thing is we need to strive to find a way to allow people to play competitive, but while being able to have fun. Because like Mike's whole
That's a
proposal,
mindset, dude. That's a mindset.
it is a mindset. But the whole thing is
Yeah.
though, is like your proposal of doing that with the rankings. Like I said as a response, that might not be the right answer, but I knew what you were getting at because there's plenty of organizers out there that are like 13 years old that cannot get a BO9 stadium in order to host a ranked tournament. They want to play competitively. They want to try to get that number one ranked spot. How can they do that if they can't afford three $50 stadiums?
Dude, I
Is that
paid like 80 for mine when I first got it. It's
right?
ridiculous. I was like, this is overpriced.
Yeah.
Right. So what?
How much was
How,
it for you, Mike?
for me,
Nightwing.
Oh,
Nightwing.
I found it because I had to look for it on like Amazon, or I found it on like eBay. It was like $80. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculously overpriced. This is ridiculous.
Everywhere it's 80, and it's like even if you see it for 40, the shipping is $40,
right?
and it's like, yeah. But go ahead,
Yeah,
Mike.
I
My
got my
bad.
new one, like my yellow one from Japan, and that was probably I think it was like $30. But of course, I had to pay for like the middleman fees and the shipping fee, so it probably came out to like the same $80. Like it's just that's a lot of money for a stadium.
Right.
Like,
And what
yeah.
13-year-old can you expect to buy one if at least one when they probably want three to host a tournament? What 13-year-old do you expect to be able to do that?
You're gonna need three. If even if you have 8 participants, I mean, if you have 8 participants, you can run it on one. But as your community grows, it's gonna suck. You're gonna be there, and not to mention, you're 13 years old. Your parents, they ain't gonna want to be there all day. You
No,
know,
Right.
definitely not.
Right.
Uh.
And so like that's my point. The community itself needs to learn to understand that there is a middle ground to being able to have fun and being able to be competitive and play in a ranking event. Like why can't we just allow all the stadiums to be part of a ranked event? The places like here in Maryland, Silver Springs, we're always going to have the standard stadium or at least the Pro Series or the DB Stadium. All those stadiums are actually relatively compatible. They're relatively good stadiums for competitive play.
yeah.
Like they're not the $10 plastic Hasbro stadium from Walmart.
Hmm.
But those players over in Arkansas that don't even have a community to post on the WBO because what if they're all 13 through 16-year-old players, but none of them own a BO9 and none of them have the way of getting a BO9. So why not just let them be able to do it their way? That's how you get a community to grow. Like the community can start out small, but then it's got to start out small and it's got to grow. Maryland, I'm sure at one point in time was 8 people showing up to a tournament.
Yeah, it was like that. That's what Geester was saying, and it is the consistency and the growth, and the doors need to be opened up a little bit more. And I feel like with me with running the circuit, having the circuit that's like 4 tournaments a year. If we have something like that, I could see it in that aspect of it being standard and like a set playground. That way, if you're in Cali, it doesn't matter if you're in Cali, you're in Canada, you're in New Mexico, wherever. When you go to Dark Continent, it's going to be standard for that stadium. But as far as like everyone just having their events and being able to just grow the community as it is, um, it should be free and opened up a little bit more. I even think about that with the
And
quiz. Not harping on that because the quiz has changed. But if people are only running unranked events, it should be something like a phone interview. and just a conversation to be like, hey
That's
man,
how I
are
felt.
you not are you
I
not
was,
a crazy person?
You're
Can
trying
we
to come
trust you to
to abduct some kids today, like literally.
yeah,
I
you
was
know what I'm
I
saying?
don't
Like
I'm never going to use this blitzing thing. I'm never going to use any of these. Like I'm never doing a ranked tournament. I'm like, that's what I was like. I just know I'm never doing this. Like these rules don't even comply to me. I was like, I just want to post in you guys' forum. But like
yeah,
even back to like the whole like using any stadium, I can't. I can see that being a standard thing, and the reason why is because if you make the rules right, and the rules are pretty much the same of wall bounces this, so if you want to get specific for specific stadiums, this, whatever. But like if we all just went on a trip, right? And we started here in Maryland, we did the standard B09. We went down to Florida and we did the DB. We went to Texas and we did the random Hasbro stadium. We went to California and it was in a freaking lock pot. We knew before we went there what we were getting into. It was not like they just threw it in like in front of us at the last second and said, this is what you got. You know, and
yeah,
that's the thing. Like if it's standard or if you know ahead of time what stadium you're using, you can decide whether to go or not go. And it's like, and I'm thinking about this from a sports like aspect where it comes to, like tennis or let's say let's even say like paintball, right? Like yeah, competitive paintball. The fields change, the stadium changes or whatever, but you still got a ranking because you performed in this stadium. It's like NASCAR, right? Or actually NASCAR is kind of the same in my opinion, but like let's say
golf.
rally racing
I
or
would say
Formula One
golf
racing.
is
Golf.
golf
There we
is
go, golf.
so inconsistent.
Right.
You got the
Every
wind
field is
and the
different.
courses. Yeah,
Right, you don't know what the weather's gonna be like. You never know, like if the groundskeeper didn't do his job. Everything's different, but at the end of the day, you still got a ranking, right? And that's the way I see it. Like if there wants to be a tournament and people in the Midwest want to do it only in the Hasbro stadiums that you get from Walmart, because you can buy them things for you can literally buy those like orange stadiums from Five Below for like $5 a pop, right?
yep,
Little
I've
orange
seen
ones,
them.
right? And the
That
people selling Mario Kart like a stack of 35 for like $75. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if that's what you have and that's what your community agrees to use, then why can't you get a ranking? Because you won that tournament.
yeah,
It doesn't matter that it wasn't in the tournament that everybody across the world uses.
yeah.
You won this tournament at this point, boom, you get a ranking for winning that tournament. And then going forward, if you go to a different place and it's a different stadium, well, guess what? You're either win, you lose, and you get a ranking for that. And it's
And
like,
I do agree with that, and I'm not gonna lie because I've already said it before. Like I was like, yeah, we need to have a standard stadium that needs to be set across the board for everyone, so it's on that same ranking. But when we're looking at things on a larger scale, there's certain regions and certain areas that kids they only are able to get certain and specific stadiums for what they can afford, either with their budget or just the area that they're in. Like maybe they can't buy online or a situation like that. And I know a lot of people won't even go to tournaments if they're not ranked. You know, they won't even spend the time of their time of day. But if you made it into a rank, that's enough incentive for people to start going because rank, even though it doesn't matter, it is cool to see. Like even though we say like, hey,
very
we
cool
go
to see.
back after, yeah, we go back and we see like, oh, how many points did I gain or how many points did I lose? And it does it is an incentive to get people out there and to want them to be able to play. And like you said, like if they're in Arkansas or somewhere like that and they don't have a community, like they're playing against each other, they're playing against their region. Zector, um, I played against him, or I met him in person, but he has his he made a proposal, or he mentions it about regionals because he's building up his area now in Washington. They didn't have a community before he became the organizer, and he's growing it. And that was one of the things he wanted to get the regional rankings because he wants to use different type of stadiums for the kids that are out there, and they do different things. And with that aspect and looking at it like that is cool and that is nice to see. And it's something to grow in. If the WBO grows to where it's like, hey, they're hosting Beyblade North or Beyblade East, and they're having these big events and regionals and invitationals, and then they want to make something standard for that. Like, yeah, but that's being run by the entirety of the organization.
Yeah.
I could see that as being fun. Like the organization is running that, not the individual organizers. But for the individual organizers that are doing their own little regional things, they should have a little bit more leeway in what they're able to use.
But yeah, because I'm like, at the end of the day, like if I think having like a specific stadium, like it has to be this one stadium, is a big gatekeeping kind of thing because it just says like if you don't have money, right, you don't get it. if you have been playing this long enough to get the stadium back when it was like $40, you just aren't able to do it. And that's the thing. Like it feels like a gatekeeping thing where it's just like you don't have this, you're not good enough. And that's what it sounds like to me. Like, if you don't have the stadium, you're not good enough. And honestly, people used to say that when I was doing my like YouTube videos. They were like, "Oh, well, you're testing out these Beyblades in this stadium. Well, use the stadium, and you'll see. Like, if you're not using the stadium, you're not good." I'm like, that's not. I don't think that's true at all. Like, this is one stadium. It's one of many they made.
It's not accurate. I mean, look at Bladers Kingdom. I come to Bladers Kingdom and do pretty well, and I play in a bunch of different stadiums all the time. And honestly, 9 out of 10 times, it's just I'll lose a couple points each one, and I just have to figure out how to adapt to the stadium.
Yeah, you gotta adjust.
I would say that when I came in, that's what I was saying, like versus being the top ranked versus being like a great blader. Because when you go to those Bladers Kingdom, it did show me that because I know my Beyblades. I know how they're supposed to perform with the tips that I have on them. And then going into various stadiums, just like, okay, this one's shaped different. This one doesn't really have pockets, or this one like whatever, they're all different, but I have to change my strategy to be able to perform to get the win. And I was still getting wins that day and playing in stadiums that I never played in before because it's about the knowledge that you have with Beyblade. And I feel like that shows a greater amount of skill than to try to be perfect in one specific stadium. Because if your whole goal is like, hey, I'm really good in this stadium, I have this really good attack combo, and I'm just going to KO anybody that comes in. And then you get into like the Pro Series stadiums where KOing really isn't a thing. And I feel like that's going to be tough to be looking at that back wall rule because it happens so quick because those pockets aren't big at all. So it's like, hey, did it hit the back wall or not? Or did it just hit the corner? That's going to be a long time of analyzing and reviewing. But if you'll have to change your strategy. And if you can't do that, can you really say you're number one? If your whole scheme was to get KOs and to do that, like, can you switch over to stamina? Are you able to perform better in stamina? And yeah, I know stamina is like the easier route, but can you do that? Or can you get your Beyblade? Can you position it enough so that it does hit the other Beyblade and it hits the wall hard enough that it just loses its spin?
So imagine this, okay? We look at the ranking system right now. We've got well over, probably 500 players that have at least played in a tournament on the WBO. Okay,
yeah.
So we have 500 players that have done that. Imagine if they opened up stadiums for ranked. So, okay, players all over the country, all over North America are playing in all these different stadiums and building up their rank. Well, then imagine this. At the end of the year, you take the top, 50 players that have made their way through the rankings. Okay, this guy's number one in the rankings. Who knows what stadium he's been playing in the whole time? So let's take the top 50 players that are, actively playing and have a tournament with a standard stadium and see where there's no advantage to anyone. See who is the best. That's how you get your number one blader. Not by racking up points, because I can go a whole day and just get a lucky day where I don't lose any matches and get all these points. Or I can go a day where I just get KO'd every match and lose.
Yeah.
But does that mean I'm worse than these players when, a month ago when I played them, I completely dominated them?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That really speaks on Bladers Kingdom. It really speaks on, like, because the whole time and even when we're talking about it, I'm thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And what you're saying, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a beast. Like, Yugi was a beast, Yami was a beast, because they were playing in it's like you said, Nightwing. They never played and they never had a field advantage. They were playing against everyone in their field advantage, and yeah, it was plot armor and this and that, but they still played. And even if I told you I don't watch the plastic as much. And I know people are probably gonna shun me for saying you're comparing the anime with real life, but there's still some concepts in there that are legit.
Boy, it's free on YouTube right now.
Yeah. Huh?
Plastic Gen is free on YouTube right now.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah,
There's
come on.
But with the Metal Fight series, I think it was it wasn't the Legendary, but I think it was season 1 when they had to go and they had to
Battle Bladers. They had to gain the points to enter into the tournament.
Yeah, and they were going to any tournament that they could get to be able to get the points and to take the win. and none of those stadiums were the same. They were popping up that day and being like, "Hey, what stadium this or that?" And yes, that is an anime, but they still had to have knowledge of their Beyblade because even when they talk about it in the anime, a lot of those tactics, like yeah, it's the anime. The Beyblades aren't shooting through boulders and stuff like that in real life, but a lot of the concepts when they talked about attack and Free De La Hoya, the hand spin is a real thing. I can hand spin a Beyblade in left spin on drift or something like that, and I will beat almost every right spin combo that you can launch it as hard as you want. I'll probably end up bursting you too, from a hand spin. Things like that do work in real life. And it's the same thing with the stadium concept. Yeah, if you were traveling around the world, or around the country or whatever, and you're battling this stadium and that stadium and just whatever, and you're getting used to the combos that you have, because I only use a specific few combos and I'm legit with them. At least I feel like I am. And then yeah, if you had that big tournament, east, west, north, or whatever they want to have, or right now, like I'm just doing the circuit, and then you show up and then it's like, yeah, let's see who is the best for the season. Let's see who is really the best blader out of these top 50. Like that would be dope, and I don't think there's anything wrong um with doing the diversity of the stadiums like that, especially the way the community is now, because we're about growth, not hindrance. I feel like that's where we want to be at.
So that's one of the reasons why I've changed a bit of the way I do Bladers Kingdom. Was talking to Crisis Crusher about it, because like if you see like pretty much all the Bladers Kingdoms up until now, the top when you get to the final cut, it was like 4 different stadiums. It still had the dice roll, and of course at that point, you can kind of get an advantage or disadvantage or whatever depending on the stadium or whatever. But he was mentioning like, why not have like a uniform stadium? Which is why I was thinking, well, let's get like that custom stadium. And one of the reasons why I picked up those extra DB stadiums, and I'm going to buy one off Crisis, and then I picked up some extra the DX Dash stadiums, and I'll buy his off Crisis as well, so I have extras, for the loft. Because I'm like, okay, well at the end we can just do, for the final cut, everything's on an even playing field, because
Mm-hmm.
let's say I won all my coin flips, or let's say I won all my coin flips, and I battle people just in like the Destroyer Dome, right? And I know how that thing works, and I won like 20 coins off the Destroyer Dome. You know, I may
Yeah.
not be that good in anything else. I just got lucky with my coin flips and everything else. So let's try it with like uniform, like level playing field. And I think that's just like a great idea. 'Cause you just never like you said, if we did it right, because like okay, so down in North Carolina, you say people they use like a high extend plus, and they'll use defense mode, right? That's something Crisis told me. But like no
Mm-hmm.
one up here uses that. No one uses defense mode for that driver, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
if people were allowed to just gain points or rankings, across the country or in their own communities, you may have the people where it's like just the East Coast just use the standard stadium. Only people down south use DB. Everybody up north uses, the I don't know, something for the Hasbro Stadium, and then the California using this. And that's like their playing field. Just like with tennis, you got the grass, you got the carpet, you got the clay, yada yada. And like at the end of it all, you have a tournament, and everybody comes through and they clash it out. Because like if you want to go back to the way like the history of Beyblade, as everybody keeps like bringing it up, like the heritage, they released different stadiums for a reason.
They did.
Because if they wanted to be one stadium, they only would have made one stadium, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole like Takira Tomy released different stadiums. Now they didn't get as crazy with them as Hasbro did, right? Like Dragoon. And I'm talking about like
Yeah.
plastic gym stadiums, like the Dragoon one. I have like the Cyber Dragoon one. It has like little knots in the ground. You know what I mean? Like then they have like the ones I think it was the metal fight ones where you can interchange like the middle piece or whatever, which is like super trash. Yeah, but that was like Hasbro stuff. But Takira Tomy, even with the plastic gen, I have like 4 different plastic gen like Takira Tomy stadiums that are different. One
Mm-hmm.
has a ridge, one does not have a ridge, just shoots it straight out. One has like a flat and it kind of hangs out. Like even now with the burst, they have the wide type one. They have the giant stadium, the DV stadium, the standard stadium, the dash stadium. Like these are legit stadiums that they made. And if they wanted it to be one specific stadium, then they would have made one stadium and just said, this is what you use. Then I could
Yeah.
understand the argument of like, oh, well, we shouldn't use other stadiums. But like they made these. And I can
Yeah.
understand you saying, well, these aren't as competitive as others. What do you consider competitive? Because if
Yeah.
two people say, I'm going to battle you, it's a competition. You can have
Mm-hmm.
people have thumb wrestling competitions. That's a competition,
Yeah.
right? There are people that do like the slap competition. That's a competition. So it's like, at the end of it all, is are you good? Yes or no? That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? If your definition is I can only win with this specific type of combo or whatever, you're not that good. You know what I mean? You're just not that good. And
Yeah.
if you're number one, that's great, but you're not that good. Like you're good at this, but you're not that good. You know?
Yeah.
That's for like I feel like when it comes to the WBO and this whole ranking thing and everything, there's a couple different ways you can go about it to encourage those less active areas to play more and become more active. Like cuz that's the ultimate goal. You want Beyblades all over the place. You want to be walking down the road and see people Beyblading at this point. Like that's
Mhm.
the goal.
Oh, that's game time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, like I said, that was one idea. I literally just had that idea while we were talking, as to that's something that they could do. The other idea is what Zector said: have a regional ranking. Then players can see who's the best in their region, and then there's also a standard ranking of who is the best out of all the regions.
Yeah.
I remember you were telling me how like they used to have the it was like the top 10 bladers of like a certain region would like be in it. And I remember actually I was like, how do you know like if you're the top? And I think you said you had to go manually down and see what area they were in.
Yep.
And I was like, just have like a regional thing like this. Everybody, you're the best in Maryland. Like because when I used to play Halo, my uh, dorm mate, he was like number 25 in his like region for Halo. I don't know how he knew this information, but he knew it. He was like, I'm number 25. And I was like, okay, sweet. That
Mhm.
you, I think a regional thing would be awesome. Because, like, if you have the big tournament at the end of the year, right? And let's say, like, the number one blader for, like, the Midwest region is like a 14-year-old kid who can't catch a flight up to Canada or down Texas or wherever it may be for this. So he doesn't even show up. He may not be
Yeah.
able to attend. So it's like, he's still number one in his region, though. He still did his thing.
Yeah.
Because, and then my other thing with the WBO is, like, a lot of people are arguing about like rules for like things they don't play. Like that's what like it confuses
Yeah,
me.
that's a whole nother Yeah,
How
that's a
you gonna
whole
tell
nother
me you don't have Beyblades, but you think this rule shouldn't work, but you don't even play the game? I was
Yeah.
telling my wife this. I was like, that's like me coming in, like, you know what? This is how women should be. I'm not. That's not my argument. I'm not in that. I'm not. That's not me. Right? If you
100%.
ask my question, I can give like an opinion about something on the outside, but I'm not getting in an in-depth argument about the way y'all should be. I'm not one of
Yeah.
y'all. So it's like
Yeah.
how you having these full blown like debates and passion about rules for like, and you've never been to a tournament. I'm like,
That
you
made
should have
me
a minimum tournament entry to even have like a say so for real. Like
Yeah.
you've never been to a tournament, but you're telling people how they should run a tournament. That makes no sense at all to me.
Yeah.
Like
That the regional thing made me think too, because I travel to a lot of regions,
you
and
be driving. I don't know why you drive a lot.
yeah, I do. But with like we do use Extend Plus. Like I switch from I rarely use Attack on my Extend Plus. But I can, and I have learned to use it. I used to when I first started playing. I only used stamina. I think I saw like Frost was the first person that I see that was switching between it, and then my son like he practiced with it, and then I saw the advantages to it. So yeah, this last tournament I was switching between defense and stamina, depending on the matchup, and high and low mode as well. But even before that, like we use Extend Plus was a big driver here. In Florida, they had I think Ignition Dash. That was a big one that they were using with um I think the Tempest Layer, Tempest combo, like that was they was known for. And up north, they were creative, but they had a lot of universe combos and orbit.
And
And
Rise
that's that huh?
and that Rise driver from Fafnir.
Oh yeah. And then it was so to see that is another beauty of regionals, especially if we could get a big thing going because it's just like MMA. Now that I'm thinking about it, man, you have these different. How that started off, you had these different martial arts. It's like who is the best, and I play League of Legends. You have the different regions. You have Korea is like ranked number one for the entirety of the game. They say their region is the hardest, and this is what I was thinking about. Like when you look at the regions and you see who number one is, if Maryland is winning every single year, that's bragging rights for Maryland in general. So even if you're ranked in the top 10 in Maryland, you're probably better than the rest of the world. because you're in the top 10 in a region that is
Highly competitive.
taking the trophy for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's how Korea is in League of Legends. Like they've lost to China, and then you have North America, Europe, and all the other different regions. But that's bragging rights as well, and that's a reason to play harder. Like Florida, they have a lot of great Beybladers. I feel like North Carolina, like our area, North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, we have a lot of great bladers. Everyone has different styles and skills, and people talk junk. It's like, oh, your region and doesn't have anybody or this and that. But then when we all get to come together, and then we see like, yo, who is really the best, and that's something that's really fun and that's really nice. So that
And you
sparked
know
the
what?
idea that made that regional thing sound a whole lot better too.
So, so I'm a guy. So what I like to do is I don't like when people come to me with like problems, right? I tell my friends all the time, don't come in with a problem if you don't want a solution, right?
Yeah,
It may
yeah,
not be the best solution, but we're going to start somewhere and we're going to work this through. Because like a lot of people say they have a problem and then they don't have a solution and don't want to figure out a solution. They just want to vent, right?
yeah.
So it's like whenever I propose like anything just different, I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Right? Because it's not
Mhm.
perfect. Like I told you with the whole metal verse or metal and burst, and then even with
First,
the whole changing of the names thing, like to the ranking system. I was thinking of that when I was walking to the trash can. I didn't spend days thinking about this. I didn't
yeah,
spend time like, okay, what about this? This was popped in my head. I was like, you know what, that sounds cool. Let me see. And then we pick it back off and we build an idea, right? Like I'm not trying to, that's just I'm not doing it. And it's like this is something that came to me in 10 seconds. So I'm just like,
mhm,
oh, what do you think about it? And I think with the whole regional thing, a great thing, and I'm not doing this because I'm not posting anything on the WL. I'm not doing arguing with kids. But what I think would be cool is if like that Zector guy, if
mhm,
he just made a thread of just the top regionals, or just made like a Google Doc sheet, right, and just pick the regions, North, South, East, West, Midwest, and then just went through it once in a while to like the top 100 and just see where people were. Oh,
yeah,
this person's here or top 50, or okay, you're number one here in this section, and just made like a nice little Google Doc sheet. And then once a week, went through and just, okay, well, you moved up to number 30 here, so you move this person and just
Wait,
start
yeah.
getting it done. Because,
does
like,
Victor do that?
well, no,
No,
I
no, he
don't know.
was he was saying propose him to do
Okay.
it, and that would draw people out to play more because I mean we've talked about this. I think we talked about it offline, but it's like to reach the number one spot right now, it is tough because the way that the point system is, you have to play somebody with a lot of points to get a lot of points. And if you're in your area or your region and people are really mismatched with points, so you're starting from scratch, you don't really have anybody to build points off of. Um, and plus, if you do get way ahead and everyone else is like new, if you lose one match, you're negative. It doesn't matter if you win the tournament or not. Like you're
Yep.
completely in the negative, and then that hurts. But if you did have the region, it'll get people to want to come out more and to start competing more, um, to play because they're going against people in their region. And then, I mean, once you go to a national event or international one day, God willing, um, the rank and all that stuff, it doesn't matter because you're not playing for rank. You're playing for that number one
That
title.
title,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? You're not playing for points at that point. Hopefully, if we are having a nationals or one day international event, you are playing for money, like something bigger than what Dark Continent um is going to bring, and it's something that is going to bring all these players. I don't care if you have 2,000 BR or if you just have 1,100 because you're number one in your region. If that 1,100, that guy that's 1,100 beats you, then that is what it is. And I've said this is if you're in the NFL, you can go undefeated all season. The Panthers, they pretty much did it one year.
Yeah, they
I'm a
did.
Panthers fan,
They
and
got
then they
bought,
lost the Super Bowl, and
got
I was
bought. Yeah.
they lost the
And I
Super Bowl. So
watched.
it's like, yeah, we had an amazing year. We had all the BR, the highest ranking, and this and that, and then we lost where it really mattered. So it was like, yeah,
So
yeah,
what's interesting in tennis though, it's kind of like the opposite a bit. So you can be like the number one ranked like tennis player, like men's tennis
hmm
player, and let's say you lose like the U.S. Open, right? And you're like you just got knocked out in like the open rounds.
hmm
You the person that takes first place, right, may still only move up to like third number ranked seed or whatever. So like it
hmm
doesn't change your seeding. Like now you got to lose a bunch of them to start like losing seeds and stuff and start going down in that ranking system. But like that's something people are concerned about. It can be just like that, where it's like you may still be number one ranked, right? And it's like if you win, so let's say you right now win the tournament and you move up like three points. Like you're not the number one ranked, and that's cool, but you moving your way up. So that way people that are really like, I don't wanna lose my points or something like that, really gotta lose to lose your points. But
Yeah.
it's like you have a whole bunch of tournaments, and then like this year, there's like 4 big tournaments or 1 big tournament. Like you're still number one ranked in the charts. But we all saw that you got bodied. Got bodied. And that kid that
Yeah.
was like number 16
Yeah.
shot up to
Yeah.
number 4 off you getting bodied. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you have something like that. Or I was proposing like reset it. But obviously I don't know anything about the code of this thing. And people are saying it's dirt ancient. Well, you can just
Yeah.
reset it every year, you know what I mean? Or just even say like at the end of it all, the points, from what I can tell, don't really matter except for bragging rights. So I'm
Hmm.
like, just let everybody have a chance to get points.
Yeah. I
Like,
feel like
just let everybody get it.
a reset would be the simplest and cleanest way. But I think to make it more interesting is if they did implement the regionals, or if they had some big event that there were invites to, or something that there was an end goal. People are playing to an end goal. And even if that end goal, like, I don't care if nationals or internationals have points. That's not the point of it. We're not going there to get points, because they're going to, more than likely, if we do the reset, they're going to reset afterward anyway. But if you hold that
Yeah.
title, it don't matter if you are ranked 200. If you have that title as the best blader within the WBO for a national event or international event, you have that. You are the 2022, 2023 champion, this and that. You won this prize, this and that. People are gonna know that you are forced to be reckoned with. Doesn't matter if you're number 50, number 200, or whatever. Like, yeah, so and so is ranked number one, or they're in the top 10 or whatever. It doesn't matter if they're not winning the big shebang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same
Um,
thing with the invitationals, like Nightwing invitationals for the latest kingdom. Like
yeah,
every season is going to reset, and it's going to reset. Like no one's going to sit on points or wins from last season. Like that don't matter. Did you get the belt? Right.
yeah,
So like, I'm gonna give the number 1, 2, and 3 seed that they're going to get a prize. Like sometimes say it says you were season 1 second seed, right? Okay, you cool. You got that. That's bragging rights for you right there. And then if you win, you get the belt. So if you were the number 1 seed, like Crisis Crush is the number 1 seed going in right now until the next video, I can still knock him out. But let's say he goes into the invitation as the number 1 seed, but he gets knocked out in the open rounds. He gonna be salty for at least like 2 days. At
What
least
what
2 days.
what is it? You have to get first at the next two, correct?
I gotta get
And
first to the next 2, and you can't get into the invitation. You can't get into the top 8.
I no, I think it's I can't get fourth or higher.
I don't know. I just know if I get first place twice. I get 80 extra points, and I think those 80 points push me to like 205 or something like that.
Right.
And you can't get points. That's the only way to put it. I can't let you open rounds. So I got to make sure there's some headhunters there. But you
Well,
do got a problem,
it won't be James. He ducks me.
man.
I played you once.
No, not you. The other James.
Oh, okay, okay.
He actively ducks me.
Yeah, he getting good though. He gonna come out busting. But like if like if you go into the thing with like 4 first place wins and all this other stuff, and you don't make it out for the invitations, and you get like 8th place, right? You gonna think about that for a minute. You can be like, God dang,
Yep.
Yeah,
dang. But I feel like the spirit of competition is lost in a ranking system if there's nothing to shoot for, and then I feel as though the enjoyment of it is lost when there's nothing to shoot for and there's something to shoot for. And it's like you have to find a balance. And a lot of people don't got
yeah,
that balance. Like they don't find that balance of like, I'm just having fun. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's just for fun.
It's really hard to find that balance of I want to be competitive and I want to just have fun.
yeah. It's
Like,
tough.
because that was an issue that a friend of mine had with Yu-Gi-Oh. His all-time favorite deck was the Light Sworn deck, and
I think I remember that one, yeah.
all he wanted to do was play Light Sworn, But then if he would go to tournaments, he would get mad when he would lose, and then he'd rip his deck apart and rebuild it in a different way, and he's trying to figure out this way of making it good. Unfortunately, in Yu-Gi-Oh, after a certain point in time, a deck will no longer be good. It's just other decks have power crept it to the point where they just do what your deck did, but faster and better.
Yeah.
Like that's just what happens.
The
So
game evolves.
right, the game evolves and it changes. And that's also one of the things that keeps bothering me about with the WBO. I want to see it evolve and change.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I feel like it's not really doing. Granted, I can say I've only been part of the WBO for 2 years.
Yeah.
So maybe I haven't been around for all of these changes that have happened, but it just feels like
They should still be continuing.
right. It
Yeah.
like I'm actually extremely happy that they put in that change last night,
The
or
definition.
today. Right. Like that came straight from my proposal, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Like I'm really happy that they did take the time to read it and listen.
Yeah. I could say that, and I was really bad about this, because we put up the proposals and things like that, and I felt like nothing was happening. I have learned, or I'm seeing that they are doing a lot. I've learned this just from picking up on context clues from a lot of things that the staff members say, from some DMs and just looking up on the forums, that there is a lot of work and a lot of effort put in. But I understand that it takes time because these guys and gals are volunteers. Because I remember even with the 3v3 thing, and like that was something that I wanted to harp on because I was so tired of the single bay format. And I just got into it, so it's like I didn't want to just come and just be chaotic and just shake things up. But it did happen, but it took some time. And I understood that. And I know, like, I do feel like a lot of things that we are even discussing now are being talked about. Is just going to take time. But my personality, like, I'm kind of impatient. I was like, I just want to do it. I want to do it now. That's the whole reason why I made the FGC. And I look at that now and it's like, it is similar. It's like, because I love the competition. If the WBO gets to the point to where it is like, everything that I want in the FGC. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like just play WBO ranked format. There's no point to be doubling up on things. And then when I want to do something outside of the WBO, I could try to host a Bladers Kingdom tournament or just go up to Maryland and join y'all and play and stuff like that. But I don't want there to be like division or chaos and things like that. It's just like some things like I understand like, hey, I have to be a little bit more patient. And which I'm trying to work on, but I'm hoping for the best, and I hope that it does come in with the evolution, like you said, because I don't want it to take so long that we lose members or we lose drive or like players just stop disappearing, especially now that Burst is coming to an end, and it's like we're gonna have to be innovative and creative to keep people engaged.
Right. And that's I think that's why I've been really a lot more active about it recently, because now that I know it's ending and I know that when Metal Fight ended, it got to a point where they used to have tournaments with 20 and up people, but after Metal Fight ended, it was hard for them to get 8.
Yeah.
So and I don't want to see Burst get to that way, and the only way that I see that happening is if you constantly change things, or
Yeah.
if you change things in a way that it allows things to be more open and different. Like
Yeah.
like I said, opening up to where we can use any stadium. Well, at that point there, I can host tournaments that are, in the Dash Stadium, and
Hmm.
people are like, "Wow, I don't really play in the Dash Stadium. I'm going to go play in that." You
Yeah.
know, how does my Beyblades work in that stadium? I don't play in that. I don't own that stadium.
Hmm.
You know, and
I feel
that's
like it's the bragging rights too. If you're going to these different tournaments with whatever stadium, you're the same person. If Crisis Crusher is winning every tournament that he goes to, and he's going to tournaments all over the country, this dude's legit. He's played
This
in,
dude's a legend. This
you
dude's
know what I'm
good.
saying? He's played in 15 and 20
yeah,
different
legend.
15 to 20 different stadiums, and he's winning in all of them. Like, okay, this guy, he's either cheating or he knows what he's doing. But
If that ever
yeah,
happens, Shout out Blader's Kingdom. It gave me
Yeah.
the knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what that's one of the things with the Kingdom. I'm just like, he came through. I already knew he was good, and he came through, and he's still good. And he's still good. Like no matter what stadium he's put in, he's like he's coming out winning. You know what I mean? Like Geezer came through the last one, took first place. Like he was like,
And
I guess I think he went through like 12 different battles by the time like everybody else did like 4. And he's like, oh, this is fun. Like, you're good. That's how it goes. Like you are good at the game. Like it's just how to play.
Like it came down to me and Geetzer in the finals. Like it was fun. And that's one thing too. Like I kept telling Geetzer and like me and Mike even just talked with TSO this past weekend, how much fun these tournaments are. Yeah. And it's like a lot of the competitive bladers kind of brush them off because they see the rules and how it's done, and they're just kind of like, that's stupid. But then the moment one of them does it, they're like, whoa, this was actually really fun.
It was legit. It's legit.
Right.
It's legit.
It's like, don't knock it until you try it.
Yeah.
Especially when it's free.
Yeah. Especially when it's free.
Especially when it's
free soon.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna wrap it up in a second because we're coming up on time. But I wanted to shout out. Well, first, Nightwing, did you have any questions for us? Or any question?
No, man. Like it's you guys definitely cemented your stance where at the end of it all, you guys just want Beyblade to just be a fun game that has some competition to it, and I think that's important because competition is what keeps things moving. Like what's this, like the saying it's better to have a samurai that's a farmer instead of a farmer that's a samurai or something like that. But it's you know how to do it, and and that's where you got to have competition to keep pushing things forward. And that's just how life goes, right? People compete to become the best, and then that causes evolution. Like I saw a video of this one lady, and she was doing a stair climber machine or a ladder climber machine, and then this guy beat her, and they just went back and forth. And her previous number one highest PR was 300 feet or whatever, and then they get to the point where they were fighting for 2,000, 4,000 feet because they pushed themselves to be better and better. And I think that's what's important. And I feel like a lot of people miss the true enjoyment and the fun of competition. If you're competing to be number one, that's great, but you should be having fun while you're competing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be stressed when you lose. Just take a little chin. You're okay, cool. Especially when it's you didn't get knocked out unconscious. You know what I mean? You didn't miss a kick. You got a broken rib or something. This is different. Your Beyblade fell. It just tipped over. Come on. Just be happy.
Look at all the animes. It's always the same thing. The protagonists, they're extremely competitive. They want to win, but at the end of the day, they teach the opponent who's all about winning that as long as you had fun, it's okay to lose.
Yeah.
Then become best friends. Become best friends and run off into the sunset together.
Yes.
100%. You learn so much when you lose. I mean, I've been to 13. I counted them up. The 13 different tournaments. And this is the first time I've ever took I took first place. It's only the second time I've ever taken a placement within WBO. But every single tournament, I learned something, and I come back because I want to do better than I did before. And I feel like I do better than I did before because, like I said, I didn't even know how to use Extend Plus to its maximum ability, but it was after losing and you just take that, you eat that, you go back to the lab and you come back again a little bit stronger than you were before and you do a little bit better. And I feel like that's enjoyable, man. And that's why I like to play. It's the growth with competition, and you're still being able to enjoy it and to have fun. And I do love that. I wanted to shout out Michael Nightwing's Gaming Lounge. Is that what you're calling it? The Gaming Lounge, right?
Yeah, so it's gonna be Loft, Nightwing's Gaming Loft.
Okay, yeah. Gaming Loft. Okay, my bad. I had the wrong L word.
Well, no, I actually we switched between lounge and loft, but I've always called my house Nightwing's Loft because I always wanted a loft in New York, but I never wanted to live in New York. I just wanted a loft with an elevator that went to my house, to my apartment, and then I can just drive my car in there. That's all I wanted. So it was Nightwing's Loft. So I was like, that's
Dope.
what we're gonna call this. But yeah.
Dope. And that's gonna be in is that in District Heights,
Yep.
Maryland?
District
District
High.
Heights, Maryland. We're going to definitely host a tournament up there. And we'll be there for when is the grand opening again? Is it June 22nd?
I mean, that's iffy. So
Okay.
I'm still
Well,
waiting for the county to
we want.
finish their
All right.
jiggers. But
All right. We
I'm
want.
gonna have my tournament there the 24th. That's just
Okay.
happening.
It's summer.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
we're iffy on the exact date, but be on the lookout for that, especially if you are in the Maryland scene. I know once we go back up there and host a tournament, we will be hosting there as well. Um, Thank you so much. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, please like and subscribe. We're gonna leave it at the and the description below. Check it out and show support. Continue to grow your Beyblade community. Take these ideas, even if you're part of WBO, not a part of WBO, it doesn't matter. Like, just get with your friends, have some Beyblades, and then grow something together. That's what this all is about. And thank y'all for listening, and take care.